Welcome back to another episode of the Brilliant Resilient Experience.
My dear friend, where have you been? Where have you gone? Where did you win? Someone there, are you listening? Is it too late? My dear friend.
If you find other people that have big goals and you won't feel as crazy, you'll be motivated. Today's guest is a professional mixed martial artist based out of St. Louis, Missouri. He trains at Wolves Den Training Center under Andrew Ebers. He has a professional MMA record of 3-1. And he has an upcoming fight in Nemesis Fighting Alliance on May 17th. In addition to fighting, he also does commentary for Stand Up Fight Series, which is going to be taking place this Saturday in St. Charles, Missouri. I'm super excited to talk to him and learn more about his background in MMA and his upcoming fight in Nemesis Fighting Alliance. So let's go ahead and welcome Danny Moriarty. Danny, I am so excited for this weekend. We got Stand Up Fight Series. You're going to be at the commentary desk doing commentary like usual. How freaking excited are you for this weekend?
I'm so excited. Stand up, I don't know what it is with Chad, but like he manages to just, like him and Jamise just find the best matchups ever. Like they're all so good. I obviously I'm an MMA guy. I love MMA, but like Muay Thai has always been like a second love for me. Like I love the sport. I love the respect aspect of it. I love how, you go in and there's no trash talk. There's no anything. It's really just go in there and like you're fighting another man. It's all respect. It's all, and it all means something. It's all part of the culture. Like, I just think it's really cool. Like MMA is kind of, it used to be, it was the best fighting the best. And it was, war and this and that. And now it's kind of turned into more of like a business and, you gotta, take the right fights and you gotta, make this much money by this much time. And like Muay Thai is just, it's just fighting. It's still pure. And like, I love that about it. So being able to be a part of the show and like being able to commentate on it has been pretty cool. I never thought I would be good at it or would like doing it, but I love the sport so much. And I think that's kind of what Chad said. He's like, dude, all you do is talk about MMA and fighting. So like you'd probably be pretty good at it. And I didn't realize that like I am pretty good at it. I will say like I love doing it. And Jamise is so fun to do it with. Jamise and Derek, like we have a good time down there commentating. We all kind of know our role. And me and Jamise, it did like, how people commentating and it takes them a minute to kind of get each other's rhythm and stuff. Me and Jamise didn't have that problem. It was just kind of right off the bat. We just knew what to do and where we fit in and everything. So it was perfect.
That's dope. Yeah, commentary is something I think eventually I want to do.
You'd be good at it. I think you'd be good at it, especially you. I mean, you watch the sport just as much as any of us do, and if not more, like you probably know more about people than like half of the, people out there actually actively competing. So I think you would be good at it. Be like the next Sanko, dude. Yeah.
Did you see? What was his name? Jamie Varner, I think is who it was talking trash about Laura's commentary, saying that you should be a fighter to do commentary. And she's like, dude, we fought on the same card.
Yeah, like literally, that's actually so funny that that's the reason I brought up Laura is because UFC Fight Pass just posted like her last professional win. And it was so funny seeing her just like looking all gangster in the cage and shit, like not commentating or doing, whatever. She actually did. Well, I'll always be a fan of Sanko because she did my last amateur fight. She commentated. It was her teammate that I fought. And I beat him.
Cameron Cash?
And then, I beat Cameron. And then I fought again on my pro debut on LFA. And she was commentating that. And she knew who I was. She was like, yeah, you fought my teammate, blah, blah. I'm sure she had the paper in front of her, but I like to think she remembered me,
Yeah.
Like to think she remembered who I was, but
that's
funny.
It
was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I'm always just like, dude, Sanko's a fan.
Oh yeah.
Need to get her in an inbox. Be like, get me to the UFC, Sanko. Come on, you remember me?
Well, dude, you're 3-1, so this will be your 5th professional fight coming up, right? In Nemesis.
Yeah, I hate the 3-1. Yeah, I did. I took my last one was a loss. It's sucks, man. I still I tell people that I'm over it all the time, but I mean, it still just bothers me. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, I hate losing. I've always been the type of person, like, if I can't win, like, I won't do it. And I just don't like, I just got caught, you know? It's just one of those things, you just get caught. And you can't, I can't really say anything about the performance or like what I would have done. Like, there's so many things I would have rather done, but like, I can't really say like I need to work on this or that or that. I think that's the worst part. It's like, wish that my first loss was something that I could like take from it and work on. But like, I've always been obsessed with like filling like gaps and things that like I need to work on. But like, I just got caught. So it just, as you could tell me rambling about it, it just fucking bothers me. So I can't wait to get back in there and get back in there and get another win.
Well, I think even if you can't learn something from it, like game plan wise, strategy wise, or technique wise, I think one thing that you can take from it is the mental part of it. You know, like experiencing your first loss, I think is an important thing that, you know, like I always love listening to Sean Brady talk about his first loss because he has a kind of a different perspective. He's like, you know, when I lost for the first time, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders because I was undefeated for so long that I've had so much pressure of like that. And he's like, now I just got it out of the way.
There's a lot of pressure with it. Like and I always felt that. I always felt like I needed to, and it kind of almost affected the way I fought. Like I'd go in, and I've done this my whole career, and my coaches know, you know, Drew and Grande, one of my coaches, he's really like helps me with my mental, but like we've been trying to work on this for years. Where like I'll go in there in the first round, like I'll let everything go. I'll do really well, and then I come back to the corner, and like the round was so easy that like in my head I'm like, I just need to win. Like I don't need to look for the finish anymore. I just need to win. Like, and I just go into this whole like different mindset where it's not like really about like putting on a show or performing anymore, or like letting go of it's just about winning. Like I just have to win. Like no matter what that's going to take, if it's going to be boring, if it's going to be exciting, like whatever it's going to take, I'm going to fucking win. And I think in a way it's good. It's a good mindset to have, but in a way it's kind of stifled me. And like, it's made me not do the things that I know I can do in the cage. When I'm in practice, dude, like I feel like there's so many things that I do that I just haven't been able to show, and it sucks. So I just have to. Now I think with the loss, I've kind of like I've been preparing for it for so long that I kind of it happened, and now it's kind of like, well, I mean, you don't want to go in there and lose 2 in a row, you know, you never want to do that. But in my head, I'm just kind of over the. We've gotten me and my coaches have gotten over the like, hey, like everybody in this weight class is good. If you fight at 125 regionally, you're a good fighter. You're going to be a good fighter. Like these guys all have losses. Every single guy that I know that I train with has losses. Like you just kind of got to get over that whole thing and just grow from it and get better. So that's what I'm doing.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like, you know, you see that a lot at flyweight too, like you said. Like look at the top 10 at flyweight. A lot of them have lost to each other. And if they ran those fights back 5-10 times, like it'd probably be 50-50 on a lot of them.
Yeah. That's how like and especially my last opponent. All respect to him. Like he's a stud. He's about to fight again. He's about to win again. He's probably gonna go to the UFC after that, I would assume. But like I feel like if we fought a bunch of times, there's gonna be times where he wins. There's gonna be times that I win. You know, like that's just how I feel about it. And I think that's really with like you said, that with anybody in this division, like you're gonna, some days you're gonna be better, some days you're not, you know?
Yeah. I was talking to Jesse about that, Jesse Martinelli, and he was kind of saying like, it's such a technical division that like you can't really have any flaws either at flyweight. Like you have to be good at wrestling. You have to be good at striking. You have to be good everywhere. Otherwise somebody's going to expose, you know, one little area of your game. So I feel like in some ways, you know, we kind of went into this discussion on that episode a little bit, but we were talking about how it's almost like a different sport, like heavyweight versus flyweight is a different game because, you know, if you get punched in the face or kicked in the head by a heavyweight, you know, doesn't matter if they're levels below you, that could knock you out. But at flyweight, it's different, you know, because there's not as much of like a one punch or a lucky shot kind of thing at flyweight. It's more of like a technical chess match kind of.
But that's what I think made me fall in love with this division and this sport so much, is because you have to be obsessed with finding that your opponent's holes and your opponent's weaknesses and exposing them, and like it takes a lot of study to do that, because these guys are good at this weight class and everybody's so fast. Like, things happen so fast in the fight that you have to be able to know exactly where you're going. That's why drilling is so important. And like as you saw, I posted something yesterday about our fighter Tavon. Like, he was drilling a step back right hand in the back, like before his fight. We drilled it with him. My coach Mop drilled it with him, 30 times in the back right before he went out, because that was his game plan. The game plan was, the guy was a good wrestler. He was going to come in and we were going to catch him while he's closing the gap. Like that, closing the gap is going to be where the kill shot's going to be. And that's exactly what happened. And you drill it in the back over and over again. You feel it, you get ready for it. And then in the fight, it just happens. And it happened so fast. Like, I thought the guy just missed the takedown. I didn't even see the punch until afterwards. But like, Tavon saw it, you just boom, close that gap, bink, done. So
yeah, that was crazy.
That's how fast things happen in there. And going back to my fight, like, I didn't even see the knee. And unfortunately, I've had other bad experiences with knees in my career. But I just didn't see it coming. You get set up, things happen so fast, and it's the shot that you don't see is the one that's going to hurt you. Like, when you see a punch coming, you can kind of brace for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way I see that is like, if you go back to Sean and Aljo, like, Aljo saw that punch coming like before it hit him, so he was still like kind of coherent. He was still there for a minute. Like, he wasn't all the way there, but he was there because he saw it and he got to brace for it. If he wasn't looking when Sean hit him, that shot would have put him to sleep.
Right.
But he was still kind of coherent because he saw it coming. He's like, oh shit, and braced for it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I never thought about it
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
So,
because
yeah,
I feel like if you see it coming, even if you get hit, you're like, okay, about to get hit. This is gonna suck, but I'm gonna survive.
Yeah. That happened to me my second pro fight. I fought a guy that was like really, really, really strong, and it was last minute on LFA, and the guy was just fucking ragdolling me for a minute, and I eventually broke free, and then he kind of feinted the takedown, and I went to sprawl it, and then I saw the fake when he did it, and I was already in the middle of like trying to down block and get out of the way. And I saw it, and my head was already going towards it, and I saw his knee coming. I'm like, you motherfucker. And then just right when I got hit with it, like, I saw it before, so it didn't like kill me, like, I was able to come back and win. But like, stuff, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
well, getting back to stand up, because I'm getting really excited. I feel like I get more no, we can go on tangents. We both probably have ADHD, so I'm pretty excited obviously I'm always excited for stand-up fight series, but I'm looking at some of these matchups and I'm just like, holy shit. So
yeah.
Kendall Whited versus Reese Newman, that's gonna be a freaking banger.
That's my fight right there. Like, there's a few fights that I'm looking forward to. That one is gonna be my that's going to be my fight of the night, I think, because both guys are just so freaking good.
Yeah.
Reese is so tough, like, just so tough, and his combos are really good. He comes from a really good gym.
Yeah.
Pack Martial Arts. Like, they have Ryan Blackerby produces the best, in my opinion, like the best kickboxers in the region. Like, his guys are so good. And what I love about his guys is his guys do MMA too. Like, they all do MMA. Like, all the same guys. Reese, Thomas just had his pro debut. Like, all those guys do MMA, and they're all really good at MMA too. And so it makes it like they all do everything separate. And that's kind of like I appreciate the old school way of doing things, because it's not really around anymore. Like, you don't really get that whole specialist thing anymore. Like, it's usually every practice is MMA oriented, and that's just what you're doing. You're doing MMA. But now these guys are still doing Jiu Jitsu. They're still doing kickboxing. They're doing tournaments. They're doing all sorts of stuff. So it's like you're still have that complete martial arts mindset you know, not just MMA like only, but you're doing every sport separately and then putting it all together too. I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of guys at ES that do that too, like Austin and
Yep.
Kendall.
Austin, Kendall, and a couple others. They all do that too. And Kendall, man, Kendall's just so athletic and
I
powerful and
know.
fast. Like dude, like the stuff he's able to do in there is so cool to watch. So I think that one's gonna be, that's a tough one to decide. It's like kind of who can implement their game plan. If Kendall can get outside of Reese's lead leg and land his left hand and that left body kick that he likes, I think he's got a good chance. And I think if Reese can implement that that pressure that he does with his combos and volume, I think that Reese can do some damage too. So that's going to be a fun one. That's my fight of the night for sure.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think that
Ty
might be a
Prackett's
war.
fighting. Yeah, Ty Prackett's fighting. Ty Prackett is
Yeah.
a little fucking stud, man. I love that kid so much. I'm so hype on him.
I know.
Like comes out to some like rap music, you know, just goes in there all gangster and just does his thing. Like I think what I was told is his dad is like some famous Thai boxer or Thai boxing coach. I don't really know too much about it, but like I love the father son combos too, because like I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that, you know, and that's kind of why I like the Blackerbees too.
Yeah.
I love the father son stuff. So it like he's always fun to watch. He's gonna be a fun one to watch. There's a few other ones on there. I'm kind of upset my boy Trey's not on the card. He got injured, so that kind of sucks. He was put a good fight on.
I was excited for
I've been
that.
waiting to see him fight live, man. Been waiting to see him fight live again. I'm pretty pissed off about that one, but the card's still good. There's still a bunch of fun fights on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize he was injured. That sucks.
Yeah,
I was
he got
excited
injured.
about that.
Good news, Austin got an opponent. That's cool.
Yeah.
Got someone tough out of Chicago. I'm excited about that one too. I love watching Austin fight live. He puts on a show every time he goes in.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting.
Eric does such a good job.
I know. Eric is so good at cornering and just coaching overall, like in so many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Like he stays so calm.
Every time I go down there to his gym, I always pick up 2-3 things that like I want to work. He's always fun to work with. I know I'm pretty sure that one of my coaches, Jared Daniels Block, I'm pretty sure he's got a couple guys on there too. I have to ask him about it, but I've been working with him recently and he's great. He's been teaching me some really good stuff on the feet. He's finally getting me to go orthodox, which is something that has been eluding me my whole career. I hate doing orthodox. Like I can't stand switching stances. Drew's always really mad at me about it. Mops, yeah, they get so pissed off because I just won't do it, but he's getting me to do it, and I'm liking it. So we're working some cool stuff. But yeah, he should have a few guys on there. His guys are really good strikers. I'm trying to think of who else is on this card. The whole card is going to be stacked as always. But
yeah. Well, Trey Chad Lewis is on the card too. He's another Maryville Muay Thai guy.
Yeah,
that's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, friggin' knockout machine,
dude.
She just knocks people dead. She's so scary, dude. I don't know how some of these guys, it's going to be hard getting them fights. It's got to be because they're just so powerful, and it's just who'd want to get you? You're not even getting paid to go into this guy's hometown and get knocked around a little bit like that. That sucks.
Yeah, but I was surprised they found somebody for Ty.
Yeah, Ty too. Yeah,
with his weight class too. It's like it's so limited.
Yeah, that weight class is limited. You're going to get shit talked. You're going to get, styled on. Like that's a tough one to want to go in there and take, especially because he's only got like 3 fights. So anybody that he fights is going to be the same skill level. So, right. That's a tough, tall order, but I'm sure there's a couple guys out there that'll give him some good fights. Hopefully this next guy does too.
Yeah, I'm excited. I remember I watched his debut and then I watched him on the last card. So I think I've seen all of his fights live. Cause I think this is going to be his 3rd fight. But so I've been keeping an eye on him because I'm like, I feel like he is already doing so many things right in his career that by the time he goes pro, like it's just that's gonna be awesome.
Well, we have a couple of those kids at the gym right now. this kid Caleb Woodside and this other kid Abraham Alcanas. Like
Oh yeah,
they're
I
just
saw
like
Abraham at the stand-up show last
the
year.
last stand up. Or he won he beat the guy that's actually the champ right now. Abe is so funny. Like
That's awesome.
he's like this like little tall skinny Palestinian kid. Like he's just all walks around, brother, you know, do this. Like he's so fun. He's like my favorite training partner now, but we have a good time. That's kind of what Ty reminds me of. Just like a young little superstar. Like they pick things up like this. Like
Yeah.
you know, like stuff that like I couldn't even imagine that I would have been able to do like a year in. And they all have such strong self-belief, like him and Caleb and Ty, like guys like that, where they just know they're gonna be superstars, and they just trust the process and trust what their coaches are saying, and then they just do it. Like
Yeah.
it's cool. I wish I had that kind of self-belief when I first started out. Like I was like, man, I suck at this. Like I fucking suck at this, you know? So
That's how I am
these guys
too.
go in there.
I feel like I'm always like so hard on myself. But it's because I don't want to go around acting like, oh, I'm like so good, because then, you know, I feel like
sometimes
it's better to be humble sometimes. I don't know.
It is. I've always been really humble too. Like I've never been a shit talker. I've never been the type of guy that's like, I'm going to do this or do that. I just want to go in and test myself. But you know, there is a benefit to having that really strong self-belief and that almost like a delusion where like you know you're going to be something, and you know you're going to get to where you want to go. So like, and they just do it. They just make it happen. Look at Sean O'Malley. Like
I was going to
some
say,
skinny
that's
little
exactly
kid from
what
Montana.
Sean O'Malley did.
Yeah, with stupid hair and face tattoos, just goes in there and wins the world championship just because he believes it. You know, like stuff like that's powerful.
Yeah.
So
we saw the same thing with Taporia too. Like everybody was laughing at him, and it's like, yeah, he kind of proved everybody wrong.
I've seen plenty of guys, like even on the regional level, like even unfortunately guys that I train with that were supposed to heavily win a fight and they were favored to win, but the other guy just had some strong self-belief and just pulled it off, you know?
Yeah.
There's something to say about that, for real.
For sure.
There is. I think that's been the one thing that big thing I've been missing my whole career, is just believing in myself, you know? And really honest, like where I am. Like some people won't admit that, or you know, admit certain things, but I've always been pretty honest, and I think that's been my biggest thing. So it's cool to see kids that, you know, when they're 21, 22, like they already have that, you know? So
right. It could just be like how they were raised too. Like some people are raised with like, they get a lot of praise growing up, and some people are raised like, the way I was raised is like, I feel like, you know, not even like from my parents, but just like growing up in school and like other kids and teachers and stuff. It's like, I feel like a lot of people like told me I couldn't do things when I was younger. And so like, I've always had kind of a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's why I'm never like I believe in myself, but I don't really vocalize it as much, because I'm like, I'll just show you. I'll show you, so that way you're not going to be like, oh, you can't do this, you know, because that's what people say. So I'm like, I'll just, you know what, I'm going to be humble, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. So, and that's like with anything in life, you know. I feel like that carries over from like, from childhood and from just like the way I grew up, and, you know, but I think it's a good thing too, because I think sometimes people are praised too much when they're growing up, and then I think they become overconfident, and then they don't work as hard.
Yep. That's another one too.
So there's two sides to it.
I've seen plenty of guys with that too, where it's like they are so just talented and gifted, and they just don't have that drive to work hard, and that's what gets them.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, that's probably the worst one for me. That's the one that kind of makes me the most upset, because I feel like if I had that God-given gift of, you know, to be able to like touch someone's chin and put them to sleep, or like just the ability to pick up techniques super fast, like I'd already be in the UFC, but I just never had that. I always had to work really hard for what I have, you know, like I just hours and hours of repping 2 practices a day. And I still have trouble with things, you know, like I still have trouble with a lot of things. And I've been in this sport for, you know, 10 plus years. And you know, my thing has always been I've always wanted to be a coach. Like, you know, that's been my biggest goal doing this. Like I kind of just like to fight and stuff. I just want to see how far I could take it, you know. I just want to do whatever. But I really enjoy the like thinking aspect and being able to break someone down and be able to get your fighter to do things in there and be able to do the things that you want them to do in there, and you know, things like that. Like I really enjoy that. So it's kind of nice to know that when I'm done with this, like it's not over for me. Like I'll be able to just go right into coaching and helping people. You know, I've already kind of taken steps in that way. Like I try to help out as many guys as I can, cornering, rapping, doing stuff like that. So eventually that'll be my avenue when I'm done with this.
Yeah, I mean, well, and you're already doing commentary and stuff. You could do media stuff too. I mean, I feel like we need more fighters to do that, honestly, like doing interviews and stuff. Because it's like, I feel like sometimes people will like ask me about like, hey, I want to start a podcast or I want to start doing YouTube or whatever, like fighters or other people that are in MMA. And they're like kind of like hesitant to ask me because they think I'm like, they're like competition for me. And I'm like, no, I think it's good when more people, especially in our own community, start doing it, because I can't interview everybody. So it's like, I want there to be more people, and I actually would like to show people like how to do it and get more exposure for St. Louis, because the more people doing media and doing stuff like that, I think will only help to grow. And I feel like we're seeing more of it too. Like we're starting to see more of it.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's good for the fighter to be able to talk to somebody that understands kind of what you're going through, because I feel like some of them, you know, I've talked to a few the few journalists that I've talked to, or people that do podcast, like they pretty much understand it. They've been doing it for like a really long time. Like my guy Mom's Basement MMA, he's really good. He's been doing this forever, so he knows all the regional guys, and he knows like about them and everything. But there's some guys that like you feel like they don't really know what they're talking about, and it kind of sucks talking to them, because you have to explain things that you shouldn't have to explain. You know, like I shouldn't have to explain this or that to you. Like you should already know. Yeah. But
yeah, that's true. I think that's why like it's important too for a lot of media people to do amateur interviews and pro interview, like not like just UFC. Like I mean, I see people all the time, like, you know, their podcast is like so big, or like they're so big that like they only can have like big names.
Yeah.
But then I feel like sometimes it kind of waters it down, because, you know, these people have been interviewed 100 times already, so they're not really like saying new things. So I like interviewing amateur fighters just as much as I like interviewing pros, because nobody's talked to them. So I can ask them like all kinds of different questions.
Exactly. And I feel like everybody's got, you know, their own story, and AMI fighters, a lot of AMI fighters are just as interesting, because, you know, at least the ones that take it seriously, like you're balancing a full-time job, you're balancing family stuff, you're balancing school, you're balancing this. And you're also trying to do this really hard thing, which is getting in a cage and fighting. Like, you know, I'm a pro fighter. I still have a full-time job. I still, you know, do this and that. Like that, you know, I feel like there's something to be said about that. Like I feel like I've always worked as hard as the pros do, even as an AME. Like I always made weight. I always, you know, did everything professional. I took 8-week camps. I always, you know, did everything the right way, you know, and I feel like there's something to be said about that. And we deserve, like, you know, AMIs deserve to be, you know, the same amount of media attention, you know, as some of the regional pros do, for sure. I mean, obviously not guys in the UFC that are, you know, doing huge things, but, you know, we got stories too, you know. Sure.
Yeah, well, and I think it's cool because, like, I feel like a lot of the amateur fighters that I've had on, I feel like a lot of them could end up in the UFC at some point, or, you know, like, are close to making their pro debut. And I feel like it'll be cool to just kind of document their journey too. Like, hey, remember when you did this interview with me 3 years ago and you were working a full-time job and you were waking up at 5 a.m. and going to sleep at 1 a.m.? Like, you remember that?
Exactly, yeah. You remember when you were
I feel like that'll be cool.
Yeah, you remember you were playing Call of Duty till 2 a.m. and doing podcasts and shit? Yeah. Yeah, then I'm going to be like, God, still doing that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're like, nothing's changed.
Nothing's
it's still the same.
Changed. Hell yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you too, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but like, you know, you train at Wolves Den, and I really like what you guys are doing because I've
we're taking
seen
over.
like there was a picture you guys took. I can't remember who all was in it, but it was like you were in the picture, Ray Hayes, Dakota Bush, Sean. I think Sean Woodson was there. Like you had just nothing but killers, and it's because you're doing a lot of cross training, which
Yeah.
I think that's really dope.
Me and Drew and Grande actually we're really big on, and we both kind of came together on this about like trying to get as many studs in the room as we can. Like we're Mop kind of like whoever comes in, Mop, you know, wrangles them in and talks to them, and you know, we just like, you know, figure out a schedule for them to come in and what days works for them. But me and Drew are really good about getting people in the door, and like, you know, I feel like every week we get 2 or 3 more really good guys in the area that come in. We're like, oh shit, this guy's in here. This guy's in here. I love Friday nights. I come in and you never know who's going to show up. Like we, you know, you'll have Dakota's there one day, or you'll have Evan Elders there one day, or you'll have, you know, just these monsters in the room, and I get to go with them. I feel like that's how it should be. You should have, you know, we've talked about this. You should have the best in one room. You should have all the best people in one room, all training together, all getting looks and everything. Even if you come from different gyms, who cares? Like, you know,
Yeah.
we should be a city that doesn't step on each other so much. Everybody just steps on each other. Say you get guys like, you know, me and Jesse, like, you know, we're both 3-1. We both have the same record. We both, you know, we're both in the same position. We kind of almost have the same kind of style, almost like a little bit, you know. It's a fun matchup almost, but it's like, why would we step on each other when there's we already trained together, you know. We've been training
Right.
together for like a year and a half, 2 years now, you know, or like people like that where we don't need to step on each other. We know they can bring people in for us to fight, and then we fight them, and then we help each other get better. That's what I've always thought. You know, people give me shit all the time. They're like, "Oh, you're friends with everybody in the area." It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I am, man. Like that. You guys can find people for me to fight. There's people out there for me to fight. Like I'm gonna take advantage of my area and get the best training from every coach. You know, I go to Eric's, I go train with Jared, I go train at my home gym, Wolves Den. I get to train with guys from, you know, every gym in the area, floggers. I get to train with guys from ES. I get to train with guys from everywhere on Friday nights. So, you know, it's just the best situation you can have. Like, I feel like I've been, just in this past year, we've like monopolized the area, and we have guys from everywhere coming in and training with us. And it's only going to get better. And, you know, I get messages every day in my inbox of people being like, hey man, I want to come up and, you know, try the gym. Or even like right now, we got a guy that he trains out in Alliance in California, and he trains with Dominic Cruz, and he's in town for a few months, and I'm going to take advantage of that. Like I've been training with him, and I've been able to get some work in with him, and it's fun to get to see guys from different areas too, and see like what are you good at? Like what are your strengths? What, like in that region, what's the scoop? Like what's the style that everybody's using, or like what's the trend down there? You know, you get to see all that stuff, and it just never ends. Like you just never get sick of it. You know, if you just keep building, keep growing, you never get tired of it. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the way to make St. Louis grow too. Like, you know, it needs to be St. Louis coming together. You know, not St. Louis versus St. Louis.
Yeah, we're a hotbed, man. Like we have some crazy talent down here. We have some crazy talent. We just have to be able to. We need more shows. We need more shows to come here. You know, that's what's cool about UFC St. Louis is they're coming. That's pretty cool. But we need more. You know, NFA's growing. You know, I'm looking forward to fighting at the Armory. That is the coolest venue I've ever been to, man. That is the coolest venue ever. Like just going there gave me goosebumps. I was so excited. I was like, because I knew I was gonna fight on it. So cool. And I was like, man, like this is gonna be so freaking fun. But NFA is growing, so that's good. It would be nice to have a couple other local shows, or, you know, have LFA come here a little bit more, or APFC or something like that. And then, you know, that's all we really need. We just need more exposure. We just need more exposure to the area. And the way we're going to do that is, getting everybody together and training together and going out there and putting on crazy performances. That's the only way we're going to get noticed. So like, that's what we have to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And Sean is going to be a huge part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because him being on that card, fighting a top 15 guy, he's fighting Alex Casares, who's not only a top 15, but he's also a vet. Yeah. So, like, that's huge. Like, that's really going to help St. Louis.
My strength coach messaged me when he found out about it, and he was like, I can't say anything. He's like, but this is a fucking huge fight. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that to me. Like, you can't fucking do that to me. You have to tell me who it is. And he's like, no, fucking, you'll find out soon. And then they put it up, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like, that is so cool. Like, Sean gets to finally break into the top 15. And that's always been a big thing. I think that's Sean's the key, man. Sean, like, everybody comes to our gym because they want to train with Sean. Like, they want to see what he's about. They want to be able to train with a guy that's in the UFC. So Sean's a big part of that. And people come in and then they're like, oh my God, this is what the hype's about, because he's just so good. You know, we got a lot of guys like that. Or they come in and they run into a guy like Jordan Howard, who's a fucking savage. Like, that guy's going to be in the UFC soon too. Like, it's really exciting. It's super exciting to be a part of, for sure.
Oh yeah. I feel like Sean is so unique.
He's an anomaly.
Especially when you look at, he really is. Cause it's like, you know, you look at, I mean, arguably, if you look at all the divisions, I would say featherweight and bantamweight probably have the best boxers in UFC right now.
Yeah.
But you don't see a ton of MMA fighters that have boxing experience and skill like Sean and have freaking freakishly long
noodle
arms.
Wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, he looks like one of those things at the car dealership.
He's fucking Dawson, man. He's fucking Dawson. He can hit you from across the room. Like, sparring with Sean is like the worst experience ever. Like, sometimes, like, if I don't really drink anymore, but when I used to, like, I'd be like really mad at myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna go punish myself today. I'm gonna go spar with Sean. And you just do one round with Sean, and you just like punish yourself real quick. Like, he doesn't even like hit you like super hard. Like, Sean's the best training partner you could have. Like, he's so nice to you. He's respectful. He doesn't like kill you, you know. He goes, but like, just the volume alone that he puts on you will mark up your face for days. Like, you will be like, and he'll be like, oh shit, my bad, bro. You know, like, fucking, you know, shit like that. Like, just Sean's the greatest, man. He's so fun. And in my head, like, I don't know. People laugh at me for this, but like, I don't see how Volk, like, when Volk was champ, like, I don't see how, like, I guess it's because I'm 5 foot fucking nothing, and like, I have to spar Sean. So like, I know Volk's shorter than me, and like, I know what, like, Volk is obviously like years and years and years ahead of me, but like, I don't know what are you gonna do, dude? Like, what are you gonna do? You can't. You gonna shoot on him? Like, he's just gonna fucking, like, he's like it's like legs of a table. Like, you take one leg out and there's three more legs that are standing. Like, I've tried it, dude. I've fucking tried it. Or like, you know, you're like, I'm just gonna get on the inside. Like, go just get on the inside. Yeah, go ahead, get on the inside. He's just gonna lift his knee up and just knee you right in the fucking chin. Or like, oh, I'm just gonna leg kick him to death. And like, no, you're gonna get hit with straights. Like, when you're leg kicking him, you're just gonna get hit with nonstop punches. You know, it's just every way that you would think that like you would classically fight a tall guy does not work with Sean. Like, it does not. Sean will get in your chest and fight a 5'5" guy like on the inside. It's just it's so fucking stupid. Like, it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. And he's not even like breathing heavy. He's just having fun. You know, it's just, I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah, he's fun to watch, man. His last fight, he was in like a flow state, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, Jourdain, like, that was such a cool one to see, because I've been watching Jourdain forever. Like, I love Jourdain. I love his personality. Yeah. He's a really goofy, weird dude. Like, he's fun, and he's a good striker. And what I noticed just by studying him, and actually our guy, that Abe kid we were talking about, he noted, like, I was watching Jourdain with him, and he brought up something really cool about Jourdain is like, Jourdain is like, every single fight he goes in, he looks almost like he's scared. Like, in the beginning, like, he's so scared and timid. He doesn't want to exchange it. But like, as the fight goes on, he like overcomes his fear. Like, he starts to realize, like, okay, this is just a man. Like, this is just a man. And then like starts, starts like building the momentum and gets over his fear, and then all of a sudden he just becomes a different fighter, and like, he starts building momentum, and he looks really good. Sean never gave him that chance. Sean kept him in that like timid, like I don't want to engage with him mindset the whole entire fight. And that was cool to see, because I've never seen anybody be able to do that. Even guys that are as like big and physically imposing as like Shane Burgos. Like he fought Shane Burgos, right. and he started. Shane Burgos is one of the scariest featherweights I've ever seen. You know, he's terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying. And Jourdain like came back in that fight and was like really giving him a tough fight. So to see Sean just go out there and school him was the coolest thing ever.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was so awesome. Yeah. That was crazy too when they read off the thing and they said Sean Woodson, but then the ref raised Jourdain's hand. And I feel like that was like the way Sean handled that was so
Dude,
like so
funny.
classy.
It was so funny. He just goes, he looked at like the video that we have, because this is what's so great about this is it's not the first time Mop has had to tell somebody that they've won when they didn't think that they won. Like I've done the same thing. My second fight, I was so concussed after I got kneed in the face. Like I thought I lost. Like I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just lost. I'm crying and shit like a little fucking baby. And Mop's like, no, you won. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you won, dude. You won. You heel hooked him. Like, you won. And I'm like, oh my God. And like Sean was like, he told Sean, and Sean's like, you fucking lying. You lying. Like, you're lying. I didn't win. You lying.
I know. That was so funny.
So funny, dude. Like in a
hilarious.
UFC fight. Like it's just perfect. It's perfect. We're such like a goofy team too. So like it couldn't have been more perfect.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, you guys definitely, like, I see, like, every once in a while, I'll see something pop up on Facebook or Instagram of, like, you or Andrew or somebody, and it's always just you guys just goofing around.
Yeah, we try to keep it as fun as possible. Like, you got to with the sport, because it's so serious. It's, like, such a serious sport, and, like, you're doing such serious things that, like, if you don't just take a second and laugh at it, like, you just stress yourself out so much. I used to be big on that. And like, even with my loss, like luckily I have good people around me to where like we can make fun of it. Like they'll send Mop somebody that like I'm going to fight, and Mop will be like, we're going to take this guy doesn't throw knees, or, you know, like stupid shit like that. Like, you know, just fun. Like, he's like, Danny, you could beat this guy. He doesn't throw knees. Like everything's fine. You don't have to do it. Like we joke around a lot, and then it's fun. You have to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit. You can't take yourself too seriously, or else you're just gonna miss the fun. It's supposed to be a journey. Like that. It's a beautiful thing about martial arts is a journey. You know, it's not just like a hobby or a passion. It's like something that you do for your whole life. You take every lesson that you have in the sport. Like I feel like martial arts is my whole life. You know, impacted my whole life. It's all I want to do. So you know, you got to be able to. Like if you don't have fun with it, what are you really doing? You know?
Right.
I've always told myself that the second I stop having fun with it, and I do get stressed out. I get stressed out all the time about the sport, but like the second I'm really like, oh, this isn't fun anymore, like I'm done. You know?
Yeah.
So and it's never been like that. I'll have my rough times where I'm like, fuck man, like I can't get a fight or like can't do this, or like, you know, whatever. And then I just remember like, no, dude, this is what you want to do for your life. This is what it's what you signed up for. So.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of things in life too. Like when you get to the point where you take it so seriously that you can't just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Then it becomes all about the result and not about the journey of it.
Yep.
And when you care too much about the result, then you don't enjoy. And you think about it, it's like, okay, well, the result, you're going to feel that for like what, one day, you know, you're going to be excited, celebrate, but then it's like, okay, now you got to get back into the gym. So if you're not enjoying that part of it, then you're only enjoying like 0.5% of your life.
Yeah.
Which is winning.
I mean, winning is great. Like I used to be the dude that was like, I'd win and then I'd go on like a 2-week food binge, and I would drink and I would, you know, go crazy and I would celebrate it like I just won this fucking world title, and my coaches would be like, dude, you didn't do anything. You just won an amateur fight. Like you won a pro fight. Like get the fuck back in the gym. What are you doing? Like you're not done yet. Like you won one fight. So I feel like this is the first time after this loss that I kind of took that to heart, where I'm like, I need to just stay in the gym. I can't just take 2 weeks off and then expect to like come back and be out of shape. And I'm getting older. I'm 31 years old. Like it's hard to just binge on food and then come back. Like my knees hurt or like my fucking neck hurts or like I feel like this sport, I'm 31, but I feel like I'm like 60, in my body just from all the wear and tear. And I'm one of those old school guys that like I love hard sparring. I love sparring. Like like all these guys say that they don't spar anymore. Like I have to spar or else I don't feel right. I don't feel like I'm doing like, I feel like Sean Strickland does it the right way, in my opinion, the right way and the wrong way. He will he spars really hard with like people like that probably shouldn't be, but like that's okay, like fuck it, whatever. But I think that sparring a lot before a fight is good. Like I think it's good. I think you need to do it because you have to be like every round that you spar is going to be different. Like something different's going to happen. Like you're going to be put in a different situation, especially like if you could, like guys like Sean will like, sometimes you'll see Sean sparring and he'll give up a takedown just to like put himself there. Just so like, okay, now I'm in side control. Now I have to work out while this guy, not just a drill where a guy's like letting me get out, but a live match where a guy's trying to like elbow me in the face and submit me. And now I have to get up. Like that's in my opinion, that's the best way to do it. Or like, for like a lot of guys in the gym, we used to, Mop always makes fun of us because he's like, you guys will strike the whole time in practice. You guys will have like kickboxing fights and then you'll get out there and fight and all you guys do is wrestle. You guys need to be wrestling in practice too. And so we just recently, like all of us switched over and we all turned into like little mini Khabibs in sparring. Like we're all just trying to take each other down and like we all like get fucking pumped up when we take each other down and shit. So like that's like our new thing for sparring is just trying to wrestle a little bit more. But I think we're all such good wrestlers that like it just cancels each other out and we all just end up striking. So it's like it's fun, but yeah, we're all really pushing each other in that way now, so that's good.
I feel like your gym's kind of more known for the grappling side, and then like ES we're kind of more known for like the striking.
Striking. Yeah, we like our style is based on like a lot of our guys that are gonna strike. Like we have really good strikers that will stand on their feet the whole time. Like look at Sean. Like people will say that they'll be like, "Oh, they're a grappling gym," but like, look at Sean. Look at Jordan Howard. Look at people like that. Like we have plenty of guys that'll just stand up and knock you out. But we have.
Well, then we've got like Jesse and Corey. Like they're amazing grapplers.
Jesse and Corey, who are amazing grapplers, grappling savants, dude. Yeah, they take people down and submit people. Both of them are such good grapplers. But yeah, that's kind of like what our style is. It's punching. We're going to strike long enough to get you to think we're going to strike. Then we're going to take you down. And then we're going to put you in the worst positions possible to where, like, for example, like me, I'm not much of like a submission guy. I don't really like submissions. I like putting people in like helpless positions where they can't defend themselves. And I'm just able to just strike and throw punches. I feel like to me, it's safer to me, like just so I don't blow out my energy trying to go for submissions. And I'm big on like top position. I don't like giving up anything. Like if I earn that top position, like I don't want to go for a submission and then lose it. So I'm gonna try to stay on top and do damage there. But Mop's really good at being able to like teaching you how to tie up the legs, tie up the wrists, tie up the, a lot of our styles based on like the Russian Dagestani style where you just on them the whole time, just cooking them. And that's kind of like what we really enjoy doing at our gym. So if anybody out there is looking for that kind of training, like that's what we're all about.
Nice.
And Mop is an amazing coach with that style. Like he's just, it's so funny because he's the most unassuming looking dude ever. Like he's just some fucking like regular looking dude. Like he just doesn't look like he'd be this like MMA genius, but he really is. And he's really good at like getting in your head and like manipulating you to do what he wants to do. And I feel like that's such a good thing for a coach. Like if you're a coach, you have to be a little fucked up in the head. You have to be a little weird and a little about yourself, because you have to be able to like manipulate everybody around you to be able to do what you want them to do, especially in such a like an intense situation. Like you have to be able to get someone to do what you want to do when their adrenaline is at 100 and they're scared and freaking out, and you got to be able to talk to them a different way. Like, for example, like we have guys that like Mop will, and I've been in the corner with him hundreds of times now, and we have some guys that he will give technique to, and he'll talk really calmly to, and he'll, you know, address different things, and you know, that's the style I like. You know, I like that kind of style. But we have other guys where he won't give any technical advice to. He just screams at them. He just screams at them because he knows they're not going to listen to him anyway. So, you know, we have guys that he's just like, get in there, fucking kill him, you know, like, because that's what they need.
Yeah.
That's what, in that moment, that's what they need. They don't need technical advice. They need somebody to be on their ass, yelling at them the whole time. So, you know, we have all
That's
that over
funny.
there.
Yeah, well, going back to what you were saying, that makes a lot of sense because I feel like in MMA, while there are a ton of jujitsu, God, I can never say freaking jujitsu. I sound like Theo Von saying jujitsu. The jujitsu. Yeah.
Jujitsu. I have a dog like that. I have a dog named Jiu-Jitsu.
I said it. I did the same thing on my last podcast. I said jujitsu, and it just sounded like mumbling.
Jiu-Jitsu.
But what I'm
That's
saying
awesome.
was, I feel like jujitsu, like they're specialists, and sometimes it works, and it used to work really well. I feel like a lot of people are hip to it now. More people are training jujitsu, and there's not as many like one-dimensional fighters as there used to be. So I feel like now, because of the time limit in MMA too, and the rounds, I feel like the ground and pound is usually more effective in that style, and like the top pressure, because first of all, you know, if you have like 45 seconds left and you're trying for a submission, like the odds of it happening, or unless you got it locked in, like odds of it happening are pretty low, and then you just used a bunch of energy. And yeah, so it's like, I feel like the ground and pound, even if you don't get them with the ground and pound, can sometimes make it easier to get the submission too, because then you're like wearing them out and they're tired and hurt. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you're breaking them to where you make them decide what they want. Like, do you want to get elbowed in the face until you collapse, or do you want to get submitted and have to tap out? Like, you give them that door, and they decide which door they want to take. That's the beauty of it. That's what I love. That's my favorite part of fighting in general, is just being dominant and being able to break a human man, like being able to make them like be like, I want to quit, man. This guy's too good. He's too strong. He's too, like, that's my favorite part. When you could feel it in the fight too. You can, like, I've been able to, I've fought guys to where I feel like I have them immediately. Like, the second the fight starts, I'm already ahead. And then I've had other fights where I've had to earn that. Or I've had to earn that feeling of like I'm ahead, you know. But that's what's so great about it. You have to, you don't know until you get in there, until you see what they have. You don't know what they're gonna come with. And then afterwards, it's like you feel like you know them better than anybody that in their lives. You know, you feel like you know that person better than anybody because you shared that one moment in there where you got to see who they really are as a person, as a man. You know, and that's pretty cool.
It's interesting, super interesting. Yeah, I feel like that style of MMA, like the Dagestani style, is starting to kind of translate more in America and other countries too, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
Like, you see the Dagestani handcuff a lot. Even in amateur fights, I've seen the Dagestani handcuff. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, you see all Wolves Den guys. Any Wolves Den amateur you see go out there, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see some high level wrestling. You're gonna see some smash positions. You're gonna see some handcuffs. You know, we've really Mop's done a really good job of bringing that style to the Midwest. Like, and a lot of teams are doing it too. But I feel like our coaches are really good at, like, they're big studiers too. They're watching every single event, and they're watching every fight 4 or 5 times. Like, I watched the same fight with Mop. You know, he lives here. I watched the same fight with him 4 or 5 times. And then that Monday, like today, we're probably going to go over some shit that happened in the fights over the weekend. Hopefully not like the bite, you know, that happened, but, you know, we'll go over some good stuff.
So you guys do that? You'll watch like the UFC
You know?
fights, and you'll kind of like talk about it and go over it?
We have like watch parties at the apartment. We'll have like all the guys over. We'll order food and we'll all watch all the fights. And then, like, next thing you know, on Monday we're working whatever Shabazian did, or whatever fucking Ilya did, or whatever fucking this guy did. We're working like what the highest level people are doing, and it's all the same. Like it's all correct stuff. Like it's all exactly how they're doing it, and that's what I
Yeah.
like. I like that about our gym. We stay ahead of the times.
Yeah, I think that's important because if you want to get good at something, if you want to make it to a championship level, then you have to look at what the champions are doing. What are the top contenders doing? If you're looking at what the best local guy is doing, well, that's not really going to get you further than being the best local guy. You got to look at you got to think bigger, I feel like. And that's something too that I think is happening more here than it was even just a couple years ago. Is people are starting to finally think bigger. Beyond St. Louis. We're starting to think like we could be a world champion. We could be, like think big.
Yep. Think big. Yeah. We like, especially Drew, like he gets our guys all of our fights, and like he doesn't try to compete with like these local gyms.
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to compete with the local gyms and all these. We're trying to compete with like Glory. Like they're in the Midwest. They're a big gym. We're trying to compete with Glory. We're trying to compete with all the big regional gyms, ATT, AKA, fucking, Rufus Sport, shit like that. Like we're trying to compete with the biggest gyms. We want to know what they're doing. We want to find their holes, and we want to expose those guys. Like we don't want to. We're not trying to do that with the local scene. We want to fight the big fight. So like anytime we can get, guys like Jordan or me or people like that, we can get on those big cards, we try to do it. Especially Jordan. Like Jordan just has to fight one more time. He just has one more. He's got to just have one fight at flyweight, just so they know he can make flyweight, and he'll be in the UFC. They're already looking at him. He just has to do it.
Oh wow.
So but none of these. That's the hard part, is none of these guys in these big shows want to fight. They all want to pad their records. They all want the easy wins. And they're looking at him, and he's 12-5. So you look at that and you're like, okay, he's got some losses, but then you look at who he's lost to and who he's beat and how he's beaten people, and you're like, oh yeah, like this dude's a killer.
That's why I always tell people, I'm like, you cannot judge a fighter based off their record anymore. Like you can't, because you have to look at who they fought. You have to look at stylistically, okay, what was going to happen? If you were to predict this matchup before it happened, what would you think is going to happen? And then look at their performance and say, oh, how on par with my prediction was it? And if it's pretty on par, then it's like, okay, well, then it makes sense. Like there's flukes that happen. There's weird stuff that happens. But like for the most part, you kind of have an idea of how a fight's going to go before it even happens. And then if they get like a crazy knockout, then it's like even more impressive than it already was than if they would have got like a decision or something. So it's like you have to look at the actual matchup itself, and you have to judge the performances based off of that. Like that was kind of like how like I judged like Dakota's performance. Like his opponent was so active on the bottom and so offensive that's how I judged that performance. I'm like, well, yeah, he couldn't really like do a whole lot to him on the ground. I mean, he landed some nice elbows and did damage, but it's like, yeah, well, the guy was hard to control on the ground. So it's like,
I mean,
it depends. It definitely depends on the opponent.
It's tough to hold someone down now. I mean, it really is, especially guys that are good. It's hard to hold them down. It's hard to keep them in guard. Like if you're talking like 10 years ago, where guys like you take someone down and they lock up their guard and they just sit down there the whole fight, and they try to submit you, and you just try to like hold them down and control them and elbow them and do whatever. Then that's one thing. But like now guys are trying to get up. Like guys are trying to fucking strike with you. Guys are trying to stand up. So when someone's trying to stand up, when you're trying to hold them down and hit them, it's hard. It's really hard to do. So I mean, the fact that he was able to do that for 3 rounds, like while the guy was so active and he was working off the bottom. I mean, you can win a fight from down there. You can win a fight from on bottom now. Like you don't have to. It's no longer the days of like if you're taking someone down and you're wet blanketing them, like you're gonna win. It's not like that anymore. If you're on the bottom and you're throwing elbows, throwing up submissions, and doing your stuff, you're winning the fight. So the fact that he still, I mean, there was still a competitive fight down there, and he took it over.
I think too, it was hard to see. Like when I watched it the first time, it was kind of hard to see what was going on. So if you look from far away, it looks like he was just laying on top of him. But then when you watch the actual fight, which I don't think they've put it out on YouTube yet, so I'm probably the only person that's actually, besides like maybe his coaches or something, that's watched it. So I'm like, I've seen like the up close of it, and I think I posted a clip. Yeah, I posted a clip of it and kind of tried to highlight some of the key moments in there, because I thought the same thing when I was watching it from far away, where I'm like, you know, what's going on down there? It doesn't look like a whole lot was happening. But then when you watch it and you see up close, because you couldn't even hardly see it because of the cage too, because he had him stacked right up on the cage, which was super smart. He had him literally pressed against the cage right in front of Grant Dawson. I'm like, that's perfect.
It was.
And Grant's just walking him through like the whole thing, which I thought was pretty dope.
Yeah,
but,
Dakota just sunned him. Dakota just he controlled that whole fight. He was pummeling. He's keeping his hands on the inside. He was throwing elbows. He was keeping him down. He was keeping him controlled. Like, I mean, that's if you have a problem with that, learn to get up. Learn to get up the right.
Right.
That's another thing that I'll say about all these people that want to talk about that style of fighting. It's like, learn to get off your back. Then if you can't get off your back, then you shouldn't even be where you're at anyway. You should like go do kickboxing. If you can't get up and you're pissed about it, go do kickboxing. You don't have to look at Trey, man. Hey, fucking Trey, the only way Trey ever lost fights is when he got laid on by everybody. People would just take him down and lay on. And then now look, he can't do that anymore. And now he's knocking everybody dead. Like that.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't like this shit anymore. I don't like having to get up off my back. So I'm going to do kickboxing and just knock everybody out. And that's, he's the only person to ever do that. Like, in my opinion, I hate when people get, they trash wrestlers and they're like, oh man, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, go do kickboxing.
Yeah, it's mixed martial arts.
It's a mixture of the martial arts. Unfortunately, wrestling is one of those mixtures. Unfortunately, some people are really good at it,
But the thing is like, people never complain when people win on points with striking. Yeah. People don't complain about that. People do that all the time. How many times? Like Ian Gary's last fight. Yeah. That's all he did was point kickboxing.
Yeah, that shit gets boring
like,
too.
He wasn't trying to finish it.
It just depends on what you like. That's what MMA is so great, because there's something for everybody. Yeah. Like there's, like I enjoy all of it, but there's some people that enjoy the knockouts and the stuff like that, and then there's other people that enjoy the jiu-jitsu, and there's something for everybody. Right now the trend is to strike and to defend takedowns, and like guys you don't really see much jiu-jitsu anymore. Like, I mean, you still see a couple specialists that are still in the sport, but right now, like you see like little glimpses of jiu-jitsu, but it's mostly when guys get taken down, they're giving up their back and they're standing up, they're getting against the cage, they're getting underhooks and they're separating. Like, that's most of what MMA. That's why it's cool when you get like a jiu-jitsu guy that's really good. Like, what was that fight? It was Hooper and who's the other guy? The weird guy, Monkey King.
Oh,
Jordan Levitt. Yeah, I love both those guys. They're so goofy and like funny.
That guy's
and
hilarious.
They're both jiu-jitsu guys, and like it's fun because it's like you want them to go to the ground immediately, and then you want to see what's going to happen, and they're scrambling, doing all this cool jiu-jitsu stuff. So I mean, those fights are fun. I love watching those, but you don't get those much anymore.
Oh hell yeah!
Nowadays, you just get guys.
No, you really don't.
Scrambling, getting up, and then just back to the kickboxing.
Yeah, well, that was one thing that I kind of going back to your point. That's one thing I noticed about Rose's last performance. Like, and I know like it wasn't like the most flashy, like barn burner of a fight, but it was a good technical fight if you know anything about grappling. Because first of all, Amanda Hebos is a black belt not only in judo but also jiu-jitsu. Like, she's a freaking beast on the ground, and in Rose, like, she did better on the ground than I was expecting with Amanda. And I think it was just because she never really like accepted the position of being on the bottom. Like, she was always one step ahead. And like, I can't remember if it was like the first round or the second round, but Amanda took her down, and Rose, she had, I can't remember exactly how she did it, but she had like her arm in a certain position. And so she put herself into a position where she was going to be able to reverse it. Like, she never gave up, and like accepted it. And so I feel like that's a lot of times what happens is sometimes people, like Jesse said it better than I probably ever could. He's like, when you're in a wrestling exchange, you just have to be in a wrestling exchange. Like, you know, when you're getting taken down, like just be in a wrestling position, you know, like be offensive, be wrestling. Don't get taken down and then think, okay, how am I going to get back up? Like, you should already be thinking about getting back up before you even get to the ground.
And Jesse's very good at that too. I just from sparring with him, like he's always a fun one for me because like we have fun striking, and then I'm like, I'm gonna test his wrestling. I'm gonna try to take him down and just see, because he's on paper he's years ahead of me in wrestling, like years. And sometimes I'll get to his legs and I'll start working, and like immediately right when he touches his butt, he's working, and that's how you got to be. You can't accept bottom. You got to be able to you know, get to your knees, build your base back up, and get up. And that's just from that wrestling background. That's why you see guys like that when they turn into really good strikers, you know, they cause some problems because, you know, they're using their wrestling in reverse, and they can stuff your takedowns, and they can get up, and then they can do damage to you. So that, I mean, that's how you got to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you too, kind of getting back to like your background in martial arts, because you mentioned we were talking about Ryan and the, you know, the whole kind of father-son dynamic. Is that how you got into MMA, was through your dad?
Yeah, so like I feel like I was around this sport before it was like cool to do, before it was like a cool thing to say that you do. You know, it was like back before it was even legal.
Barbaric.
Well, it was barbaric. It wasn't even legal in Missouri when I was going to shows. Like, it was me and my dad. My dad took me to the it was this thing called the Machinist Hall. It was this like little ballroom kind of banquet center, and they would have guys. You wouldn't know who you were fighting till you got there. You know, you get these guys, like, it was like the tap out ages where, you know, you were wearing a tap out shirt, dude, you probably knew what you're doing a little bit, you know? So everybody's got their little chocolate mohawks and their tap out shirts and their, you know, gold chains and shit. You know, it was good. It was good times. It was a whole fashion sense right there. But, you know, a lot of these guys, there was some good fights back then, but I mean, nothing like now, but it was still like when I was a little kid, you know, my dad had his own team of guys that he would bring out there, and we'd go watch their fights and stuff and whatever. But a lot of the times it would be him reffing. So he was in with the Illinois Athletic Commission. So he would be going to the shows and reffing them. And because he would do that, he would tell them, be like, hey, can my son sit cage side? You know, can my boy sit cage side? And they would be like, yeah, you can sit cage side. So, you know, I'm this like 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid with like some popcorn, like sitting cage side watching these guys just rip each other apart. It was amazing. And so from that age, like, I always knew I wanted to do this, but there really wasn't like the techniques that people are doing now, and like the experience and the availability to be able to like start the sport at such a, like, I just started with my dad and his team. I didn't go to like, you know, if it was back like it is now, like I would have done like MMA, like kids junior worlds, and like, you know, all this other shit that they're doing now, these MMA little kid tournaments, Jiu Jitsu tournament, all this stuff. But back then it just wasn't as big. You didn't really, it was basically just, you know, you train in a garage and you go fight. And that's kind of what we did. So, I mean, I had a good base. Whenever I went to my first gym, I started at ATT St. Louis. So it was like with Tyron Woodley and a couple other people. And a lot of the guys that I started with are pros now, or, you know, some of them are even done. Some have even been done fighting, but we had a really good team. We had a good team back then. And like my wrestling, like my background was wrestling, but I fucking sucked at wrestling when I was in high school. I was horrible. I was the guy that like smoked cigarettes and fucking drank and did drugs and shit. Didn't care about anything. And like, but I just liked to fight. Like, I liked competitive, you know, shit like that. But like, I didn't want to do like regular sports. I thought other sports were stupid. So I was like, you know, just my dad got me into doing this. Like, let me just do it. And if I couldn't pin you in like the first or second period, mostly the first period, like I was going to gas out and not be able to breathe, and you were probably going to beat me. And that's kind of just how it was. But we had a lot of guys that came over from Woodley, brought over from, you know, college wrestling from Mizzou. And I was able to train with like a lot of really good wrestlers. So like our gym was just really heavy wrestling based. You just came in and wrestled and sparred. You know, we had a good Muay Thai coach too. That would, you know, that's probably why I love Muay Thai so much. But, yeah, we had a good group of guys, so I had a good base there. And then I went to Watson's martial arts for a little bit, and I met Colin Parr, and we started training, and we trained together for 6-7 years. And I took a little bit of time off MMA and just did kickboxing because like I was just taking people down and holding them, and I wasn't doing anything in the fights. And I feel like I've always been, like I said, really big on trying to get better. So I just was like, let me just stop taking MMA fights. Let me do some kickboxing. So I started kickboxing, and I fell in love with kickboxing, and I almost didn't go back to MMA. I was almost like, I just liked it more. It was just more fun to me. And I met
Yeah.
Mop during quarantine. Well, I already knew who he was, and like we had been cross training with them a little bit, but I never really talked to him too much. But I started doing privates with him during COVID because O'Fallon was still kind of like the wild west in fucking COVID. You can kind of still do what you want. Like fuck, we're gonna stay open. So that's kind of. We just did like little privates,
Yeah.
you know, just nobody was in the gym. It would just be, you know, me and him. But I really fell in love with his teaching and like the stuff that he was teaching me. And he was like, man, you know, you should back to MMA. I'm like, you should come back to MMA. You should start fighting again. He's like, you're one of the best guys in my room right now, and you don't even train here. Like, let me teach you some stuff. So, you know, that's what I did. I went over there, started training over there more full time, and then, you know, Drew convinced me to take another amateur fight, and from there it was just, you know, now I'm here.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like my dad kind of got me into MMA. It's kind of funny cuz like I didn't really pay much attention to MMA until they started having women's fights, and then I started to pay more attention to it cuz it was just like more interesting to me watching women fight cuz I am a woman.
Yeah.
So it was just like felt more relatable, I guess. But my dad was taking us to the Mizzou wrestling matches when I was like a kid, like a little kid, because he just liked to watch wrestling.
Right.
Like he was watching wrestling on
Wrestling's fun to
Saturday.
watch.
Like he loves watching wrestling.
Yeah. Wrestling's fun to watch.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I feel like it's good to watch wrestling too if you're doing like MMA commentary or like, you know, stuff like that, because I feel like you understand the grappling transitions more. You understand why certain things happen the way they do more in MMA when you actually watch wrestling, because, and watching Jiu Jitsu too, because I feel like it just, sometimes if you don't know what you're watching and you see, like you said, like you see somebody just laying on top of someone, well, it's like, okay, that's not exactly what's going on here. Like,
the funny thing is like, sorry, I was getting a phone call. Like I commentated a show with Chad one time. We did like the Knuckled Up show together, and it was so funny because like on the feet, you know, Chad's like, yeah, you know, blah blah blah, doing this, and then like the second they hit like over unders, Chad would just like look at me like, what are they doing? Because he was like the head guy, so he was supposed to be doing all of it, and I was just supposed to just like say stuff, but like Chad's like, I don't fucking understand this shit. Like, talk, man, what's going on? You know, and I feel like striking's so much easier to, and I, you know, not every MMA fighter can commentate like for striking, like definitely not, but it's a lot easier to do because if you understand like the basics, you know, it's kind of easy to point stuff out. But like I like to think that you can get pretty advanced with it, like you know, especially when you start seeing people setting people up, or you start, you know, seeing certain things, and you're just good at calling it out. And I feel like I've gotten better with that. But grappling is so much harder to be able to tell what's going on and be able to say it in a way that doesn't sound like, oh yeah, he's just holding him, you know, like you have to be able to be like, okay, he's establishing position. He's gonna eventually here, he's gonna pop up and he's gonna throw the legs by and he's gonna pass and he's gonna, you know, take this position and he's gonna do this. Like you have to be able to know where everything is, because if not, it's not gonna sound good when you commentate, you know?
Yeah. Because you're not really going to know like the detail of what's going on. You're just going to know in general of what's going on. And I feel like that is something that like people don't understand about the sport. Like, and it's still such a new sport. Like you were saying, like it wasn't even legal, you know, when you like first kind of got into it. Like, it's still such a new sport. And like, if you watch basketball, football, baseball, like if you listen to the commentary on that, like they are getting really into the details. And that's what we have to do with MMA in order for it to get to that point where people are watching it the same way they're watching NFL or they're watching MLB. Like, you have to focus on those details because not every fighter is going to be a trash talker. Not every fighter is going to get knockouts. Not every fighter is going to win every time, but that does not make them any less talented. Yep. And it doesn't make it any less important to highlight things that they do in their performances. Because can you name me an MLB team, an NFL team, an NBA team that wins every single time? No, you can't. You can't. And MMA is going to get to that point too. We already see it with flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight. We kind of already are seeing it. And there's going to be less and less undefeated fighters as the sport continues to evolve. I mean, we're going to get to a point where you're only going to be undefeated for like your first maybe 10 fights. And then after,
like with the talent that's coming, we've got 5 or 6 dudes that are, they're super young and they're coming up and they're really good. And I can't imagine any of those guys like not taking the toughest fights possible. So it's like right now they're all tearing through people, but they're all going to take losses. They're all going to take losses. There's too many good fighters out there right now. There's too many good gyms. There's too many good coaches. Like you're going to take losses and they all understand that. And like, I battle with this with myself every day. Like, I'm like, man, I wish I could go back. Like, and I feel like that's what's going to make me a good coach is because I'm going to be able to tell you like what you should do and what you should not do. And like, don't do things the way I did, certain things. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I do, you can, look up to or whatever, but a lot of like, certain things like taking time off or doing this or doing that. Like, I feel like those guys are going to have such good role models in the gym, people that have been there, and we already do. We got guys like Jordan Dowdy who are kind of taking more of a coaching role now and who like will tell you like, this is what you do, this is what you should not do because this is how I did it and it didn't work out for me. Like things like that. Like I feel like we're starting to get to that point where especially our gym is about to turn to where like the new age kids are going to start going out there and tearing stuff up and we are going to have to take a step back and help them get to where they need to go eventually when we're done, that's just the way it goes.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's why a lot of coaches are such good coaches too, is because like they've faced adversity. Like a lot of coaches that like maybe they didn't have the best career as a fighter, but they had a ton of experience. They fought really tough guys and they got experience that you can't really get from winning. And so I feel like that is super important. And I don't know, I don't think I would want to have an undefeated fighter as a coach. I think I would want to have somebody who like, oh, you fought in this organization and you fought the toughest guys and, you have experience not only in MMA, but you have experience in wrestling or kickboxing or boxing. Like Eric, he's got experience. He started boxing when he was like 13.
I know that some of the best coaches are 500 fighters. Some of the best coaches are guys that have taken a lot of losses. A lot of losses. Like, honestly, that's what I look at. Like, it coaches, like, there's plenty of coaches, like, even, like, kickboxing coaches, they've taken 20, 30 losses. I mean, look at Liz and Lily. They've taken so many losses, but they're the best in the world. Like, there's people like that have that whole knowledge, like, that just all that knowledge, all that experience, and in those losses and those wins, and they'll be able to, convert that into teaching, the next generation.
Yeah, I think that's important for educating the fan base too. And that's something that I've been trying to do. And that's why I get so mad when people will talk shit about fighters who are literally world champions. And it's not that I'm like mad because they're, whatever, because you're entitled to whatever opinion. It's just a lack of education though. And it's a lack of appreciation for the sport because we have to get to the point where the fan base can appreciate a fighter coming off of a loss. We have to get to that point because if they don't, then it's never going to grow to the point that it needs to because people are just going to shit on you as soon as you lose a fight and then your entire fan base turns on you. And we just don't need that. Like, we don't need that in the sport. Like, imagine if you were I'm just going to think of an example. Like, imagine if you were a freaking, like, I don't know, New York Yankees fan, and then the New York Yankees lost one game, and then you stop being a New York Yankees fan. Like, how ridiculous does that
stupid,
sound?
yeah.
It sounds ridiculous.
It sounds stupid.
So it's like, I don't understand why people do that with like Volkanovski. I'm like, do you guys not remember his whole career?
It's the
Like, what are you talking about? He lost 2 fights.
The MMA fans are so fickle, like, yeah, and that's why, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like fighting too, like those guys, their whole lives are out there for everybody. You know, like their whole lives are like you know, the best fighters are the ones that have like the video vlogs, the podcast, the everything. Like they live their lives for everybody else online. Like they, everybody gets to see what they're doing all the time. So like you're always going to be judged. Like you're always going to be judged. You're always going to be doing something wrong. That that's just fans in general. But like I feel like so many of those people, like you see them in person and they're going to be like, oh my God, like, fuck, like, let me get your autograph. Or just in general, like all those people, they're never going to do this shit. So why care what they think? Like, I only care about my biggest thing, especially when I lost was like, I feel like I let everybody that was with me the whole time down, like I let all my people down that like put so much time into helping me. Like I'd give a fuck less what Joe Schmo says, or like, we had after my third fight, I had so many people in my inbox being like, you didn't get kicked in the balls, like, blah, 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 like all this stuff. It's like, I don't care what you think. It doesn't matter. You weren't out there getting your nuts kneed off, like, fuck. But you just got to take it with a grain of salt and just only care about the people that are in your circle, the people that are closest to you. That's all that matters. And everything else outside of that, and that's what I've had to come to terms with. Like, if I win or loss, everybody that's around me is still gonna love me anyway. Like my coaches are still gonna love me, my people are still gonna love me. Like there's really no reason to worry about that,
Exactly. Yeah, and it sucks sometimes because there are people out there that maybe they don't understand, and I've even struggled with this sometimes. Not even, I mean, obviously I'm not a fighter, but like just with like doing content and stuff, like sometimes you like get enough negative like feedback that you're like, or maybe they are right. Like maybe I do suck. So sometimes it like can get in your head, especially if you're getting all negative feedback and zero positive feedback. It's like, sometimes it's hard. And sometimes even the people close to you are giving you negative feedback too, or they don't believe in you, or they don't support you 100%. So it's like for some people, it can literally like make them quit. And it's a shame because like if they would have just not listened to it, then I mean, I think there was like, what was it, like a month ago? Like I think I told somebody, I was like, I'm quitting podcast. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit anymore.
Right.
Like,
fuck this.
And I have those thoughts like, oh my God, yeah, I have those thoughts all the time. But now I've learned to like just ignore it because literally 1 week I'll think like that. And then the next week I'll be like, oh man, I like killed it this week.
Right.
Like it was awesome. Or like I have this guest I'm really looking forward to, or like whatever. And so like, I feel like you have to, even if nobody thinks you can do it, like you have to still have some ounce of self-belief, because sometimes in those moments where you like, where everybody thinks you can't do it, like those are the moments that you should actually go for it.
Yep.
And a lot of times you'll come out ahead and then you'll prove everybody wrong and make everybody look stupid.
Yep. Exactly. It's like one of those things. I forgot who said it on your podcast, but I think it might have been Jesse who was talking about how like you're like most fighters are scared, but like you're scared, but you do it anyway. You just do it anyway. You just like you're scared. You might get embarrassed. You might put out a bad podcast that everybody hates, that everybody wants to talk shit about, or you might fail at this thing, or this thing might not be as good, but like you're gonna do it anyway. Like no matter what, you're still gonna do it. So that's kind of the mindset I have, where like I'm gonna take like 10, 11 L. Like I could take as many L's as you could give me, but I'm still gonna do it. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks anymore.
I love that.
So yeah.
I
don't care.
Man, it's been that way my whole life. And like, I feel like the best version of me is the version of me that does not listen to what other people say. Like I'll listen to some people. Like my rule is, if you're not doing better than me in whatever it is you're judging me on, then I really don't care at all what you think about how good I am or whatever, because first of all, you haven't done it better than me. So
Yeah.
how do you know like
Yeah.
how much better you could be at it, or how much, or what I could improve on? So it's like, okay. And sometimes there are people that like they study things to the point where they do kind of know. But for the most part, it's like there's a lot of people out there that just, it makes them feel so much better about themselves when they criticize other people. So you have to know, where is this criticism coming from? What is their motivation for criticizing me? And a lot of times they'll do it publicly too. And what I've noticed is the best feedback that I always get is private.
Yeah.
It's always private. People never comment on my stuff giving me advice or criticism if they're actually doing it to help me. Usually, unless it's positive, then they're trying to like hype me up, and that's cool. But if it's constructive criticism or advice on something I should change, it's usually always private. And when people do it publicly, I always know their motivation for doing it is either A, because they want to try to discredit me and make me look bad, or B, they want to make themselves seem like they're like an expert, or like oh, I'm like, you know, I know more than you.
Yeah. Like they're smarter. Yeah. I hate those people.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, yeah, you probably are smarter than me, but I
really
don't
give
care.
a shit. I really don't give a shit.
Like, I never said I was the
I
best.
never said I was the best.
Like,
I just want to be a part of it. And there's room for everybody. There's room for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't see why
For
not.
sure.
We need more people doing this kind of stuff. We need a lot more people. We need like, there needs to be more media people, and then there needs to be more media people that train like you do. Like there needs to be more media people that train and that actually like understand what they're looking at. Cause I mean, there's a bunch of jabronis out there.
Like, yeah, dude. Like every MMA YouTuber, like I think the only one I've seen that trains, like there's like this little circle of like MMA YouTubers, and there's like Jesse on Fire, he trains. I don't know how much he trains, but he trains. And then like MMA Guru, I don't know how often he trains, but I saw he trained in like South Africa or
Luke Thomas trains.
He went to like Dreykus's gym. Luke Thomas is really good. He trains, but there's a lot of them that don't, and I don't necessarily think you have to be good at it, depending on, your level of knowledge. If you can make up for it in your level of knowledge in your research, then I think it's okay. Yeah. And as long as you're respectful to the fighters, like James Lynch does a really good job of that, like being respectful of the fighters and stuff like that. And he's actually like does a lot of different types of content, which I think is really cool. So he's probably one that I would say like gets away with it. And I don't even know if he trains. I don't think he does, but if he doesn't, then it doesn't matter, because like I feel like he makes up for it in other ways. But I do think that a lot of people would be better at it if they did train. And even just like I don't train grappling, right? I go to the gym, I do boxing mostly. I started doing kickboxing finally. But and most of it is just because of like I constantly have injuries and shit and like joint pain and stuff. So that's why I don't really do all the classes yet. Because I'm trying to get all that shit figured out. But thanks to my dog. Yeah, that was nice.
Hurting me.
God. Yeah. She's the champion.
The champ.
She's yeah. We need to sign her up. Yeah. But I feel like, even though I don't train grappling, a lot of times I'll go to ES and I'll do the class and I'll stay for like an hour and I'll hit the bag while they're doing the BJJ classes or wrestling classes. And I'll listen to Corey, what he's saying while I'm training. And I pick up a lot of things just by listening and watching and just being in that environment too. Like getting a fighter's perspective on different issues and different things like headbutts, eye pokes, all that kind of stuff. Like if you never talk to fighters about those things, then you're really going to be kind of out of touch when you're talking about them yourself, and you're not going to have the right perspective, I feel like.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, it's important.
It is. It's very important.
Just being around fighters too, I feel like gives you a different perspective. Even if you don't train, just like talk to fighters and see what they think about things.
Yeah, they're different kinds of people, and like a lot of us, like like I've said before, like everybody's got their own story, and it's fun seeing where everybody comes from and like what their background is. And because you have to, like I always say, you got to be a little crazy to do this sport, you know. So you really do. You got to be a little unhinged. So like, and then I feel like I've successfully, like, all of my closest friends and like all the people I surround myself with, they all are involved in this sport. Everyone. Like I don't think I have any close friends that like I talk to on the regular that are not MMA fighters or coaches or, you know, strength training people. Like I feel like everybody around me is involved in the sport, and that's how I like to keep it, because I like to be able to have people around that I can relate to. I feel like my whole life before it, like I couldn't relate to anybody. It was just, I didn't like what you like, and I don't like being around. Just everything you do is boring to me, you know, like, you know, I don't know. Everything's boring.
Like I feel like it's funny. I was thinking about this. I'm like, I feel like besides fighters, like I feel like guys and girls like in their like late 20s, early 30s are all into the same exact
Everybody
things.
goes to work.
Like every guy just wants to go drink IPAs and play pickleball or whatever and like play on fantasy football.
Oh, dude, yeah, the parties like used to go to. It's just everybody does the same things. They work all week at their job that they don't like. And then they go, on Friday and Saturday night and even Sunday, you know, you go out, you get wasted, you go hang out with your friends, you get wasted, you watch football, you know, you do that whole dance, and then you come home, go to sleep, and you wake up on Monday and you do the same thing, and the wheel just keeps turning, and that's just how you live, and then you die. And like, I can't do that. I will go crazy doing that. I already have a job, 9 to 5. Like I already do that. And I need, and people are like, how do you go to the gym like after you work here? I'm like, dude, I sit here all day and do nothing. I'm bored with myself all day long. And then I go to the gym and I'm finally myself again. So it's like, at least I have that in my life. And I couldn't imagine not being a part of that and just doing the normal people things. Like I call them civilians.
I know.
Like
what's funny, because like I really didn't know you that well before until like a couple months ago when you started training at ES. And then we trained together like a handful of times, and then we kind of figured out that we both have like a similar like teenage childhood like upbringing.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
We both were emo kids.
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
it's funny.
It's like that. I love it. We're elder emos now. We're the elder emos.
Yeah.
There's no emo anymore, dude. Like the emo's not dead.
I know.
Emo's not dead, but it kind of is. Like you got all these like little jabronis running around, like not listening to the good 2009. 2009 was like the prime emo year. You know, you had like Hawthorne Heights, you had the Used, you had Under Oath, you had, you know, Cheetos, you had all of them, man. Like that was the year. You know, you go, you know, on the weekends, you're like, Mom, drive me to the mall. You know, you go to the mall with your friends and you got your skateboards, you know, you just walk around talking to girls and shit. Yeah. Just like, ooh, I like your Hawthorne Heights shirt. I'm like, ooh, thanks. You know, you flip your hair around.
I like your checkered Vans.
Yeah, I like your red stripe in your hair. Oh God, I got made fun of so much. I was the only kid on my wrestling team that was emo. So like people were like, oh, there's this fucking emo kid again. Like I had to shave my head and everything. I got hazed really bad. Like it's horrible. It was horrible.
Dude, I got made fun of so much for being emo.
I was friends with
like I was the first one to wear skinny jeans at Winsville. Which middle school did I go to? South Middle? I don't even remember.
Yeah, dude.
But I was the first person to wear skinny jeans, and everyone made fun of me. And then 2 years later, everybody was wearing skinny jeans. I'm like,
I couldn't get into the whole like I'm gonna go wear my little sister's jeans thing. Like I couldn't get into that because I had a bunch of friends who did that. They all like wore their sister's jeans or their mom's jeans. Like I'm like, dude, no, I need to go. So I had to just go hit up. I had to go hit up the Hot Topic and get like men's skinny jeans, you know, like they're men's skinny jeans. So it's okay. But like, I'm not going to go wear my mom's jeans. Not going to do it.
That's fair.
But that's the original.
I feel like
that's the original skinny jean emo.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, mom jeans. Put your mom jeans on.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel like whenever Hot Topic changed their logo, that was like the downhill of emo.
I get sad
like
every
that
time.
was when emo just went away.
Anytime I'm in the mall, like I go to the mall frequently because like I hate shopping online. I'm like weird like that. I have to like see it in the store and I have to buy it.
Yeah.
But anytime I go to the mall, I stop in Hot Topic and just like shed a tear for how sad it is now.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah, they don't even have emo stuff.
they don't even
in
have
there
emo
anymore.
shit
It's like
anymore,
all anime
dude. It's
now.
fucking. It's like it's black metal and fucking weird fucking shit now. It's just not even like it's not even cool, dude. You can only get like a couple cool shirts there now. They don't even have like, yeah, dude. All the bands that we grew up with
Lame.
are just it's just sad. It's just all sad.
I know.
It's sad.
It's
But
depressing. That's why they can't really do Warped Tour anymore.
They need to do Warped Tour, dude. Oh my god, I get so upset about this. I talk about this all the time.
I miss Warped Tour.
Warped Tour. I saw freaking Katy Perry at Warped Tour before she was even like she was singing "I Kissed a Girl" and like dude, like there was nobody there. It was like in front of like 20 people. It's crazy. And they're like back when like it was the best emo bands ever, and they were like barely discovered, and they were all in one place, and you could listen to them all.
Dude, and they had ska bands at Warped Tour. They had Big D and the Kids Table. They had Less Than Jake. Like, oh my god,
yeah, dude,
it's amazing.
Good times to be alive.
I missed that.
And they had the best merch.
I saw Sum 41 at Warped Tour too. That was fun.
Sum 41, dude. And yeah, they have. You're running around buying fucking shirts. You're like, Mom, give me $20 more. I need to buy this fucking Hawthorne Heights shirt. Like, come on, Mom. Like, you don't understand me. Like, all that shit. Good times. I just can't believe I grew up to be a fighter. After all that, like I was like the little emo kid, and I ended up fighting. It's just crazy. I need to bring that back.
Funny. I feel like there's a lot of emo kids that like went into MMA.
Our Friday sparring, like our open sparring that we do that everybody loves, and like how we have all these people. It started because we started something called Emo Night, and it was every Friday. Every Friday at our gym, if you were allowed to come, but you had to listen to our emo music because Mop would put on like Senses Fail, Hawthorne Heights, The Used, and we would like do an hour of like technique, and then we would light spar for like 2 hours, but to only emo music, like nothing else could be played.
That's amazing.
And it was all the small guys at first. It was like our little midget team. It was like all the 25ers and the 35ers because there were so many of us. So like we had like a huge group. Corey and Jesse came a couple of times too, but we kept the emo music off for them because we don't know how they are, whatever. But I don't know if they indulge. But yeah, we then all of a sudden it turned into like some big thing. All the big guys wanted to start coming, but now we don't play emo music, and it's just kind of sad. But it's still fun.
Oh.
It's still fun.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's dope though.
I'm a parent.
I feel like it's definitely a thing where like you cannot turn on emo music around people who aren't.
Oh, you should do it. You should see Sean.
Like,
you should see Sean. It's so funny. Like Sean loves my playlist because like he'll be like, oh man, like I like this song, but like I'll put on my other playlist, like my emo playlist, and Sean will just look over and be like, man, I can't spar to this shit. Like, what the fuck you doing? I can't spar to this shit. Or like, yeah, Mop's like, Sean's here. You can't put this shit on. Sean's here.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
That's so funny.
So shout out to Sean.
Yeah,
I can't play my emo music on Fridays anymore because of you, but it's okay.
Dude, I feel like it's funny you were kind of talking about like being around civilians. That's how I felt when I was an emo kid, when I was around like people who didn't like play any music, they didn't skateboard, like they weren't in it like the same things I was, and I just felt like so out of place. And so that's kind of the same thing with MMA too. Like I feel more myself with MMA people than I do with anybody else.
Well, that whole like that whole the emo culture is so funny too, because you look at like you're like, oh, normal people, oh, like but it's like you're all in your own little group too, like like you know what I'm saying, like
exactly.
You're like, you don't fit in with us, but it's like they don't fit in with you either. Like it's just so funny like how we were back then. It's like, oh, these little preppy kids, oh, like dude, just good times.
Dude, that reminds me of SLC Punk, which we still have yet to talk about. But it reminds me of that scene. I can't remember which scene it is, but it was the scene where he was talking about like, the mods and the punks and the
It's so true.
whatever, like all the different like things.
Classes. Yeah, the mods,
and
the
it's
punks,
like,
the skinheads.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Dude, I love that movie. It's so good.
Yeah.
I still have to watch. I still have to go back and watch.
Such
that
a great
again. Yeah,
movie.
it's so good.
Oh my god, I watch it at least a couple times a year.
Mhm.
At least
That first song,
sometimes
that
more.
first song on there by The Exploited is like my theme song, dude. I love that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole movie.
That soundtrack is so good.
Yeah, it's the best punk songs.
So
like the
good.
best punk songs ever made.
Yeah, I feel like they hit like every good like punk. Like, of course, there's still more that weren't on there, but like they had.
The
They even had some ska. They had the English beat. They had the Transplants. They had Fear. They had what was the other one? They had the Casualties. They had Iggy Pop. They had what was the other? I think they had Minor Threat
Minor
too.
Threat was on there. Yep.
Yeah, they had Minor Threat.
Yep.
Yeah, that soundtrack
Dude,
is
it's
goated.
so good. My
So
favorite
good.
guy in that movie was the guy that like wasn't an emo or like wasn't a punk, and he was just like some regular dude.
Mark?
But yeah, Mark, and he had like anger problems, and he just fucking go crazy at the shit. That's the dude off. It was so funny because that's the dude off Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like the fucking main guy. Like, and he's in SLC Punk.
Oh no, you're talking about Mike.
Yeah,
You're talking about Mike.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, this is the toughest, most hardcore guy I know, and he
Yeah,
just
like the
beats the
toughest,
shit
most
out of people.
hardcore guy, and he doesn't even listen to punk music.
Dude, that guy's like Joe Lazan. You remember when Dana was like talking about Joe Lazan? He's like, this guy's a nerd, but he could beat the shit out of you.
When he was on the Ultimate Fighter, like, yeah, he was like a software designer, and he had
I
like.
feel
his
like
ears
Mike is
all-
like the Joe Lazan of SLC Punk.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I see that.
That's funny. Yeah, that movie's great. I feel like there's so many like. I don't know. Like I like some, like I just watched Roadhouse today, and like I like some like highly produced movies. Like I think it's cool to like watch like I don't watch it for the same things that I watch like independent films for. Like when I watch independent films, like SLC Punk, for example, I'm not watching that to be impressed by the CGI or be impressed with like how amazing the quality is. Like I want like that movie for like the story and for like the quotes and like the funny moments. Like that to me is why I watch those kind of movies. And so like that's why I love watching low budget movies, because the story and the actual like quotes and like the script and like all that stuff is so much more important, because they can't rely on the fancy $1 million worth of equipment that they have and like all that kind of stuff. Like that's why I love low budget movies. Like Clerks was like one of the most low budget, probably the most successful low budget movie ever.
Dude,
I think that
Clerks.
I think Kevin Smith like made that movie, basically maxed out a credit card to make that movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
It's awesome.
So fucking cool.
He couldn't even afford a color camera when he made that first
That
movie.
movie's so fucking
Like
goated.
amazing.
Yeah, dude.
But that movie fueled the movies that he made after, because he put himself on the map with that one movie and did such a good job on the script and such a good job with the cast that he didn't need it to be a multi-million-dollar budget movie. He just needed that to prove, okay, I can make good movies and I can find funny people and I can put them all together and make something really awesome. Right. And he did. And he even starred in the movie, which is great.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I love it. I love movies like that. Like just low budget DIY.
SLC Punk was definitely the best one. Like shout out to whoever made that movie.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sick. I feel like that movie just like gave me a weird different perspective on life, because I watched that movie for the first time when I was like, I think like 13 was the first time I watched that movie. Yeah. So I was still pretty young, and I was still like, kind of figuring out who I am. And I was like in my skater girl phase.
Yeah.
And that movie like made me think so much differently. And like just there's like little life lessons in there that I feel like were really dope. Like at the end of the movie where he's like kind of talking about how, I was a punk and now I'm like some freaking lawyer. And it's funny because like that happens to so many
Yeah, it
people.
happens to everybody. Yeah.
And you're
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you just kind of wake up one day and you're like, oh, yeah, maybe I'm not as hardcore as I thought I was.
Dude, the most hardcore
But-
part of that movie is when they're like in the park on the acid trip, and she just like looks at him, and like the whole fucking the city in front of him and just like goes on fire and shit.
Yeah.
She's like, everything ends. I'm like, ooh.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so
That's
funny.
such a good movie.
Yeah, that movie's crazy. I'm trying to think. My favorite character was Mark. I thought you were talking about Mark.
You're
but
talking about the
about
Russian
Mike.
guy.
But Mark, yeah, and he, I can't remember. There was like a couple scenes in that movie that were just fantastic. Well, the "Sink You Fool." I mean, that was like the most. That was one of my favorite
Iconic.
quotes.
I like when they try to go get weed from him, and he's like showing them his house, and they're just like so sick of it. Like I related to that so hard. Like when I was a kid, like trying
That's
to buy
me.
weed, like, and you just you got to go hang out with these fucking people for like hours, and they like, and when when you're a kid, like when you're a kid, you just want to get your shit and go enjoy it. Like, but you got these older, you got these older people hanging out with these young kids, and like they're like, hey man, like you want to go here, you want to go here, and like you have to be friends with them, and then you have to like sit there and listen to them talk, and you're just like, dude, just go buy me a 40, or like just go give me an eighth. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't want to hang out with you
hilarious.
anymore. Jesus. Yeah, I related to that part.
I feel like I am like, if I was rich, I would so be like that. That's exactly how I would be. If somebody came to my house, I would be showing them every single thing that I have that I'm obsessed with. Like I remember he was like showing them like the TV and like the
he's like,
the
see,
DVD
it comes
player.
out of the ground or something. Like, yeah, the DVD player. You see, dude, yeah. And then like they don't.
Oh, my favorite. Oh, the mattress. Or he was like, this
Yeah.
one doesn't have waves.
It doesn't have waves.
And he's like, well, why don't you just get a regular mattress that doesn't
He looks at them
have
like they're
waves?
crazy. Yeah. Or like he thinks that they stole from him, so he's like holds them at gunpoint and shit. So funny.
And then he apologizes
Yeah,
to
he's
him
like,
after.
I'm sorry. Like puts the gun on him, like rubbing him with the gun.
That was so funny.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Fuck yeah.
That movie's so
It
great.
is.
Yeah, he was my favorite. I feel like I can't remember what happened in this. Did you watch the sequel? I can't remember what happened in the sequel
I
with
can't
him.
watch the sequel
because
I probably will hate it, and it just ruined it for me. That's like Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber was like ruined by the stupid fucking movies that they put after him, dude. Like Dumb and Dumber is the all-time classic comedy movie. It's like one, and I say that because it was like one of the first movies I watched as a kid. So like that, like I love it so much. But then like they came out with Dumb and Dumber and then Dumb and Dumber 2 and like all that shit, and they just ruined it. They just kill. Even when they put when they put Jim Carrey and what's his name, Jeff Daniels or something, I think Jeff Daniels in the movie. Yeah, like they put him back in there for Dumb and Dumber 2, and it was still stupid. Like you should have just kept it at Dumb and Dumber 1. It was just so funny.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's cool when they take a movie. Like I feel like Judd Apatow's done this really well, where they like kind of have a similar vibe of the movie, but they're not like making a sequel. Like they never made a sequel to Superbad, did they?
No, thank God. That's such a good movie.
Yeah. I feel like that's one thing that he's done really well is like there's a ton of movies with the same exact cast, the same people, and they have the same character in each movie, but it's a different movie.
I just love it and
I feel like that's what you have to do.
It's like one of those movies where like you hear the name and you just remember. Like I just was thinking about the part where he's like, hey, why don't you go piss your pants again? He's like, people don't forget. See, that was in 8th grade, you asshole. He's like, people don't forget.
Oh, that movie's so
This
good.
is the best part. Like he's
my
like, oh, I
God.
got him here. That's some shit I would say. I would just fucking remember from like 8th grade. Be like, why don't you go piss yourself again? People don't forget. I'm sorry. Fuck.
Dude, you know who my favorite from those movies is? Oh, I forget his name. What's his name?
Michael Cera.
Danny McBride.
Yeah, Danny McBride is awesome. Danny McBride McBride is the best. Like in This Is the End, McBride is the
He's
best
so funny.
character ever.
Oh my God. Yeah, he
I've
made
been
that
dropping
movie. That
loads in
movie
this house
would
like a
not have been the
fucking
same
dump
without
truck.
him.
Dude. I come anywhere I want.
Dude.
Sorry.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know what I can say.
I feel
on
like
this
they need a movie. I can't remember who else I was talking to about this. They need a movie of like, God, who was I talking to about this? I think it was when I went on another podcast, not on my podcast. But I want to see a movie with like the Joe Rogan crew, like Theo Von, Joe Rogan, even screw it, put Brendan Schaub in it because it'd just be funny, and then like have a whole movie of like, but like not like an overproduced movie, like do it like Joe Rogan could do it. He's got the money.
Yeah, they could do it.
Like they could easily make a movie. Like I want to see it. I want to see them make a movie.
It would be funny. They'd have to have,
it'd be dope. With Shane Gillis.
You'd have to have Sean Strickland in it, just because.
Yeah, yeah. Put some fighters in it.
We could put Sean Strickland in it for sure. We were like just talking about this at the gym. Where they need to have like a TV show of like our gym, like The Office style. Like our gym would be perfect for that. Like it would be so perfect. And we try. Like we have like a YouTube channel, by the way, like Wolves Den Training Center. Go follow it, everybody. But wait. Sorry. No, so yeah. What was I saying? Fuck. The Office. Yeah.
Wolves Den.
Wolves Den Office. Geez, CTE, man. It's a hell of a thing. Yeah. Yeah, no, The Office. Yeah, we need to have like an office style thing with our gym. Like it would be so awesome. It would be so awesome because we have so many characters, dude. Yeah. Oh, and we're like our channel is pretty cool.
That would be hilarious.
Our channel's good. Like we have this kid that comes to the fights and he does like all the backstage stuff, but it's like funny, but it could be funnier. Could be a lot funnier, but he does a really good job. We also have a podcast that's coming out soon that Mop and Drew are doing. Sweet. So that'll be cool. We have like in our gym, we have this like spare room that we're using for a podcast studio. So that'll be fun. Here, Mop will get canceled in the first 2 episodes, probably, if it ever makes it out there. But, you know, he's an idiot. He's a straight fool.
Yeah, dude, that's what people need to do. They need to start like Sean Strickland and Chris Curtis started their podcast.
Yeah, I love
like
that
a while
podcast.
Back. Yeah, I feel like more gyms need to do that. I think that's
my buddy
cool.
Tyler Rowe,
and not even to like
he does that. He's doing
really?
He's doing a podcast. There's a couple other gyms that I know that are doing that, and you kind of do that for all the guys at ES. They all get like their time in. But yeah, I think the gym should do that. That's a good idea because it just, you know, especially like when people are trying to decide what gym they want to join, like in the area, they'll be able to like go see like what gym that they fit in the best at, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, you want to know, like, I mean, that's a big thing for me. Like, I want to know who I'm going to be training with. Like, I had already like kind of been watching ES for a while and like keeping an eye on like what they were doing before because I knew I wanted to get back into training. So I was like really like searching for like not only what vibe I want with my gym, like I knew I kind of wanted to go to like a smaller gym, but also like the schedule, you know, the class schedule, that's an important thing too. But then like, do I vibe with these people?
Yeah.
Are they winning? Like,
yeah.
You know, like, are they good?
Are they good? Do they suck?
Like, even if they're not winning, like, are they good?
Suck?
You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, but also, you know, are there people training there that are like on my level or like closer to my size too? Like, I feel like there's a bunch of people that train at ES that are like, they're not my size, obviously, because like pretty much everybody's bigger than me, but they're at least not like 8 feet tall, you know, like sometimes I'd spar with people that were 6 feet tall. I'm like, this is doing nothing for me because I'm never ever going to compete with someone, most likely, unless we have like a Sean Woodson of women's, you know, that might happen.
Looking.
But like, I'm never going to compete with somebody that's 6 feet tall.
Anderson.
I'm like, I'm 5'1".
Yeah. Yeah, you're 5'1". So yeah, that.
So it's like, yeah, like I wanted to like be around people that are like closer to my size, like good personality, good positive energy. And like coach, obviously that's huge too. Like I've seen Eric corner before I even ever started training at ES. And that was like one of the big reasons that I wanted to train there, because I watched him corner. And yeah. And so, yeah, I feel like all that stuff is super important. And I feel like just because like people pick a certain gym doesn't necessarily mean that it's better than the other ones. It just means it fits their vibe better.
Right.
And what they're looking for. Like, you know, so, and I think it's cool that people are finally like doing more cross training now here, like we were talking about earlier. Because I feel like that makes a big difference.
Cross training is
with
the
like
most important.
just getting better training partners.
You want to see all those looks, like, man. Like when you're an amateur, you know, like I feel like Drew's really good at this. Like he'll get our guys like the fights that they need. Like you'll have, you know, you'll as an amateur now, you'll fight like a really good wrestler. You'll fight a really good striker. You'll fight a really good jiu-jitsu guy. You'll fight them all. And you're able to do that because we find those fights for you. But we have guys in the gym that can mimic all that. Like for example, if I fight like a 6-foot striker at flyweight, like I have guys like that. Or if I fight a short little stocky wrestler, you know, I have Sam or I have Gabe or I have, you know, I got people like that are probably better than those guys at that skill. So it's, you know, or if I'm fighting someone really strong, I have people for that. Like, you know, we have every style, every body type, every weight class that you could think of, like we have it at our gym. So I feel like the safest at our gym as far as fighting regionally and fighting these guys that are really good, I feel the safest at our gym. I think our gym does a good job at having wide variety of everything, and especially in the coaching too. You know, we have you know, a couple kickboxing coaches. We have Mop does all the MMA, and I think that's important for an MMA team. You have one coach that's doing all the MMA. You know, we have a couple of...
That's a big thing too. I never really thought about that with like coaches. Like you're now kind of at the point where your gym is not only developing fighters, but also developing coaches. Because like if you look at a lot of the best coaches, a lot of them started at the gym that they train at, that they teach at. Like Eric Nixick, he started off like training jiu-jitsu, I think, at Extreme. So it's like, yeah, I think that's really dope.
Work, like,
because then you're like embedded into the culture more too.
Like especially with me, like shit, I'm a fucking Wolves Den mainstay by now. I've been there for 6 years, like, and we're talking like Mop has already told me he wants to give me a gym, or, you know, like we have, like, when we expand, I mean, I'm sure I'll, you know, like I'd be the first one to be offered that, you know, because I've always wanted that. Or, you know, we have guys like Jeff Bradshaw, he's doing like he started like a whole fucking army in the morning of like these newbies that are doing morning MMA. And like, I've never met any of these people. I have no idea who any of them are, but they're all at our gym at 8:30 in the morning doing MMA. And like, it's crazy. So like, you know, we have coaches for every time like schedule. Like if you work nights, you could still train at our gym full time. If you work days, you could train at our gym full time. Like if you're a fighter and you're trying to, like, we have night classes, you know, if you're a fighter that wants to work during the days, like Mop does classes Tuesday, Thursdays. And, you know, we have, you know, good guys doing those classes. So, you know, just anywhere you could. And I feel like a lot of gyms don't have that. Like it's more just at 4:30 the gym opens and it opens till 9, you know, but our gym, we have classes going all day, you know, so.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Nice. Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you well, obviously we're super excited. Gosh, I'm still so excited for UFC in St. Louis.
I know.
Like, I'm obviously excited for UFC 300, which is in like a couple weeks now, which is crazy. But like, then when I got my press pass for UFC St. Louis, I was almost like more excited about that, just because like to be doing media like this early in my career and be doing it in my hometown for the biggest promotion in MMA. I'm like, that's freaking cool, dude. Like, that's so cool. And to cover Sean Woodson fighting in his hometown for the first time in the UFC and fighting a top 15 opponent. Like,
well, you're going to be like the number one.
Crazy.
You're going to be like the number one journalist, I would assume, like for St. Louis MMA, because you're like the only one that knows every single person. Like, you're the main person from the area, you know, like that's pretty cool that you're going to be able to,
which is crazy to think about.
It's crazy. Like when people come,
because I just started a year ago.
when people come for information, they're going to be looking at your shit, you know, because you're the one that does
Yeah.
St. Louis. So that's pretty
Well, and I
cool.
started going to local shows quite a while before I started doing media, so I feel like that kind of helps too. And I never even thought I was going to start doing media. Like when I first got and I posted the clip of it yesterday where I was talking about how I really got into MMA was from watching Rose Namajunas, but that was whenever I wanted to be a fighter. Like that was when I thought I was going to end up actually doing the sport. And I had mentioned it to a couple of people wanting to start a podcast about MMA, but I was like, I don't know, I don't really know enough about it yet.
Right.
I'm like, I don't think I should do it yet. I think I should learn more about it first, which is exactly what I did, because it took me 3 years before I actually started it from the time that I said I wanted to start it. But when I first got obsessed with it, yeah, I was wanting to compete. I wanted to learn how to fight. And then through that, I learned more about the sport, and then I'm like, oh, I want to cover this sport because I feel like I can do it. I feel like I could learn how to do media and learn how to do video editing and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of ran with it, and then now it's kind of just insane how how everything happened.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy.
It's insane. Yep. But it's cool. But I was going to ask you, besides UFC St. Louis, what are some other combat sports events or fighters or just things that people need to know about in St. Louis combat sports? That's coming up. I mean, obviously we got Nemesis on May 17th.
Yeah, Nemesis May 17th.
Which that's going to be sick.
I know that APFC is looking to come here in July, so I'm going to try to get on that. That'll be cool.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
they'll be coming here. We're gonna you'll look to see a lot of Wolves Den guys on that. I think Drew got the connect with that one, so he got good with the matchmaker. So we're gonna try to get a bunch of us on there. I'm sure Corey and Jesse will be on there too.
Is that are they based in Michigan?
No, Wisconsin.
Or Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah.
Wisconsin. I always get them mixed up. Yeah, I knew.
It's Pettis' show, so yeah, it's out of Wisconsin, but think
that's dope, because a lot of people that listen to my show, they train at Rufus Sport, because there's one guy that trains there, and he has been showing people at the gym his my stuff. So there's a bunch of people that train there that watch my content, which is dope. So that'll be freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's cool. Yeah, I'm hoping that they come. I'm hoping they find a venue and they get here. Other than that, I mean, really, we kind of covered everything. I mean, look for our gym especially to grow. We're doing big things, and yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good guys coming up. A lot of young amateur guys are gonna be making their debuts soon. The pro guys, Jordan finally got a fucking fight, so Jordan's gonna be fighting soon in May. All the pros at our gym are fighting in May. We got Jordan's fighting in May, Sean's fighting in May, I'm fighting in May, Sam's fighting in May. All of our pro guys are gonna be fighting in May, so that'll be a big month for everybody. So we're looking forward to it.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a long month for our coaches for sure. Mop's gonna mop. Yeah,
they're gonna have their hands full.
Yeah, he's gonna be busy guy in May.
That's awesome
for sure. But yeah,
that's cool. Well, it's exciting though. I feel like March was just insane, and then now I'm looking at May. I'm like, holy
May's gonna
shit.
be. This is gonna be a crazy summer. I'm looking to do it. I'm gonna try to do 3, hopefully 2 at least this summer. I'm gonna try to get in. I need to just shake this loss off and get back to winning. That's really it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a couple more wins and you could be
right there. I'm still right there.
UFC,
yeah,
so.
I just got caught. I'm still right there.
Yeah.
Nothing really changed. It's the only thing that changed was my mindset for a little bit, but I'm back on the right track and everything. It was really just all about me. Nobody really thought anything different. It was just me thinking of myself differently, and I just had to switch some things around, in which I did.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a certain path that you would want to take or that you think is like the best path to the UFC? Like there's obviously you could get picked up under like, LFA. A lot of times LFA
LFA is
champions
the
end up
best
going to
way.
the UFC.
That's what we originally were wanting.
You think
That's what
so?
we were originally wanting to do. So we were kind of like, we did 3 fights in LFA, but LFA is really hard to like. They don't give you much time to get ready for fights, and especially if they're trying to match the other guy, they're not going to give you much time. They're going to give you like 3 weeks. They're going to be like, hey, do you want to fight our guy that this is his hometown and you're going to come out here? And so fights like that are kind of stupid because you don't really want to, when you're really early in your career, you want to be careful. I mean, we tried that the last one. It didn't work out too well, but, I feel like with LFA, it's kind of like when they come here, it's great. You get to, you know about the fight 8 weeks in advance and you're ready to go. But I think now, I still think it's the best way, and I think I'll be able to do it more because I've been able to keep my weight down and stay in shape. So, I mean, whatever comes my way, we'll look at and we'll see if it makes sense, and if it does, then I'll do it. So, I mean, I think LFA.
What do you think about Contender Series?
Contender Series? Oh, yeah, for sure. Contender Series, too. LFA champions usually go to the Contender Series. That's usually how it goes. LFA champs go to the Contender Series.
Yeah.
And then they do the Contender Series, then they get in the UFC. Or LFA champs will get short notice UFC fights. That's usually how that works. Like Bonfim and the Bonfim brothers.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah, they didn't really go to the Contender Series. They kind of just got short notice fights, and then they won those, and now they're in the UFC. So, I think that's the best.
They're starting to get a lot of guys from Fury now too. I mean, that's how they got Robellis.
Yeah, Fury's hit me up a couple times. The only problem is the main, like the owner of Fury will get in my inbox and be like, they've offered me like the same fight, but they'll offer it to me like a week out, or like a week and a half out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm sitting on my ass playing Call of Duty. I'm not ready to take this fight. Sorry. So I haven't really we haven't really messed with them yet, but I'm sure maybe eventually. But LFA is my favorite. I love LFA. LFA is the best. They're so awesome. We got
Jesse's fighting this weekend in LFA.
I'll be watching that. I can't wait for that one. He's ready. He looks really good.
That's gonna be insane.
The guy he's fighting is good. And he's tough, but he's nothing special. I think if Jesse does what he does in practice and what I've seen him do in the cage, I think he'll be fine.
That was one thing that really impressed me about Jesse was like I had seen him train and like when I'm watching people train, I'm not like thinking like, oh, this is exactly how they're going to look in their fight. Like obviously that's not going to happen. But a lot of the things that I saw him do in training, he did in his fight. Yeah. And I feel like that was one thing that really impressed me was just like, okay, he can follow a game plan. Like he can really like take what he's doing in the gym and apply it in the cage. And that was one thing that really stood out to me about him.
Jesse are really big drillers. They drill a lot. They write stuff down. Corey journals everything. And like, I feel like that's not like they're really smart fighters. Like they drill the techniques and they go over, like talk about them. I'm like the opposite. I just fucking go. Like I'm just fucking, I'm like, let's just fucking spar and I'll figure it out. And I'll, I'm just not like that. And I feel like that's one way to do it. And I think with this guy, I think that's going to come in handy that he's such a smart fighter. Cause this guy's tough. He's really tough and he's good. He's a really good fighter, but I think just Jesse has probably watched his fights and he's probably found some things that he can exploit, and I'm sure he will. So
yeah, he's pretty sharp. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was why I wanted to have him on after the Nemesis fight, because I'm like,
beat my boy
I just want to see like what goes on in this dude's head. Because I did not like them fighting I feel like I'm like he seems really, really smart, and I feel like that's something that is kind of underrated in MMA, is just intelligence overall. And so
you just cut out, but it's back. It's back.
Oh,
no, you're good.
But what I was saying was, just like I really wanted to kind of see like what's going on up in his head, because I could tell from the way that he fights and the way that he trains that he's a very mental fighter. And I always love talking to fighters like that. I mean, I love talking to all fighters, but I really love talking to fighters like that because, and I need to have Corey on too, because I feel like that will be amazing. Yeah. But I feel like that is where I really learn a lot about the sport, is talking to fighters like that.
Yeah, not
and
not
like
us,
talking to
not us
no,
Neanderthals.
I was just about to
Us
say, and
Neanderthals.
talking fighters like you, because you have trained with so many people and you've watched so many fights. So, like, even though you just said, like, oh, I'm not that type of fighter, well, I kind of think you are a little bit, just in a different way, because you're a student of the sport. And I feel like there's something to be said for that too.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I do all my drilling. I do everything. I think I just have like I have to be going hard all the time. Like I have to be like, and it's bad. I mean, it's not a good way to be. Like I get injured all the time because I'm always like, I need to go 100% all the time. And like my one of my coaches, Jared, he's like, dude, you don't like, let's just hit the pads lightly. Like, let's not, you don't have to fucking go crazy all the time. And I'll just be like, no, we got to fucking Thai style, baby. We just got to fucking throw hard kicks, hard elbows, hard punches. We just got to go. But it's like, that's why I'm in the position that I am. And I can't stand orthodox, or I can't, certain things. Cause I just want to like, just destroy everything. Like it's just all I want to do all the time. So that's always been my problem. I need to slow things down sometimes and just drill,
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing, like training with like Evan came to the gym and taught a class not too long ago. And that was one thing I really liked about his class, because he kind of like stopped and like slowed things down a lot, which, you don't feel like you did that much at the end of class, but you learned more and you grew more from it, and you picked up on more little things, and you didn't just kind of like run through the training like normal.
Right.
Like I actually got to like see little details that I was doing wrong and be able to fix mistakes.
Right.
And I feel like training like that sometimes, I think it's good to do both.
Right.
I think, obviously whenever I train like that, I don't feel like, I feel like I didn't do anything because I'm like, oh, I'm not tired enough. Like
sweating.
I'm not.
That's my problem. I'm like, dude, I don't feel like I did shit.
That's why I usually hit the bag after class, because that's the only way. Like I feel like I did something.
Yep. That's smart. That's smart. Very smart. Just gotta get your bag working.
It's funny. Exactly. Yep.
But
well, this has been fun. I feel like we need to do more of these in the future.
Hell yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like
we should.
I feel like you should start your own.
Yeah, eventually, one day.
Well, whenever you have time.
We'll see. That would be something. That would be something for sure. It'd be a good time. I just need to learn how to do all that fucking editing stuff.
I'll teach you.
Yeah, you got to teach me how to do it. You teach me how to do it, I'll start my own podcast. I'll take mops. I'll take the I'll take the room.
I'll teach anybody in like that's a fighter or like a coach that like wants to like start doing this. Like even if like at your gym, if they need help, like I will help because I want more people to be doing this.
For sure.
Like in our area, in our community.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cool. Well, I'll let you get back to your day.
Okay.
Have fun playing Call of Duty or whatever.
I got one more night tonight. I went to strength and conditioning tonight, so I didn't have to go tomorrow. I'm gonna game my face off. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna go to the gym right now. I gotta actually leave for practice here like right now, but I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go game my face off a little bit. But it was fun. This is a good time. We should do another one of these for sure.